just where we're at now, Merritt hasn't been done.
Yeah, Merritt. There was a few that. So Merritt, Marshall, Archie, Buku. They're the main ones that haven't been done.
How do you feel about driving, Jesse?
In general, yeah, I don't mind driving.
Nice.
Um,
True Footy's live.
sorry, just driving. What, the intro or?
Are we live? We are live. Just a bit of a weird start to that episode. Absolutely. Didn't know if we were live or not. Just testing out a few new things. It is trade deadline. Welcome to Footy from the Flat. This is football season. This is the real thing, Jesse and Druzy. What are we saying?
Well, it's been interesting catching up. I think all of us have been busy all day, and now we're doing our post-work show, and we're catching up on some crazy things that have happened whilst setting up for the show. We had 3 deals go down. We just seen Jai Simpkin will be staying put at North Melbourne. We'll get into all that action and more. Druzy, what have you made of today's action?
Oh, there's been so much action that's gone under the table. And yes, thank you guys for being patient with us. We've all come home from work. Our producer has come through the door and is straight onto the decks. But we have, 45 minutes to go left in this trade period. Still some big deals to be done. Kerno, Archie, who else have we got? Marshall, probably the main ones that haven't been done. Petrarca has just become a Gold Coast Sun. That's just happened, which is massive. And there's probably some other ones that I'm missing.
Yeah, you left off literally the biggest deal of today.
Oh, what was that?
I want to get into this. Finbar Maley has become an Adelaide Crow. The biggest bombshell on trade deadline day that I can recall. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually a bit disappointed about this one. I thought Finbar Maley, I feel very similar to you, Jesse, when you talked about Campbell Chesser. And it's not like we've seen enough from Finbar Maley to say he's going to be a superstar or anything like that. But it's like just when you got that little bit of a taste that he was going to be a good player, he ups and leaves. I'm disappointed. I'm maybe disappointed that he wasn't shown more football throughout 2025 because we took a pretty long time to play him. And then when he came in, he showed a bit.
It was interesting that he just sat without a contract for so long.
Yeah.
Because I kind of thought, make a decision either way for a start. But perhaps there was an ongoing conversation there where he said he wanted to get to Adelaide. I don't know. I can't really imagine how that sort of played out, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm actually not that sure what his background is, where he's from. I know that his dad was a professional basketballer. And I think he was born in the States.
Oh,
I
okay.
want to say. So,
yeah, right.
Bit of a different background coming into the AFL, but he was...
Going in the wrong direction then.
How?
Oh, sorry, Adelaide North? Adelaide
Northwest.
It's north of here, isn't it?
In relation to what, sorry?
Getting back to the States.
Oh, getting back to the
Yeah,
States.
sorry,
Yeah,
I'm new to Melbourne. I don't remember the geography.
Yeah, not sure that's relevant, but good talk anyway.
Good job.
Yeah. It'll be, I would have thought, more difficult for him to get into the Adelaide forward line than the North Melbourne forward line. So it's strange in that sense.
That's a good point.
Yeah, unless the Adelaide Crows want to use him as, for example, a tall winger, maybe somebody behind the ball, but probably if there's one position that the Crows would be looking to fill, it would be like a tall winger, not so much a key
Surely
position
not
forward.
a tall winger when they've got Dan Curtin and Isaac coming.
Yeah.
Does he ruck?
Oh, he probably could pinch hit. I don't think he's tall enough though.
No, I mean, obviously they looked at it for Draper, and the Riley O'Brien conversation has been a pretty regular one, at least the Adelaide Crows fans that I work with, very regular conversation. So I did wonder
not a bad shout,
if it's
actually.
like a forward ruck sort of thing.
Rogue Riot chimes in with that bombshell is nothing compared to the monster trade of Patrick Rechko for pick 99. I can't believe he was valued 4 picks higher than Will Brodie. We got a pick 103.
Yeah.
What the frick?
Oh, that makes sense based on our talent assessment, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Pat Rechko, actually not a bad player.
I've never heard of him.
He was
never heard of him.
I believe he was taken in the rookie draft in the finish last year. Really good runner, long distance runner. So doesn't have the best ball use and that kind of thing, but he wins the footy and he's a good runner. So who knows? He's 18 years old.
Speaking of players that win the footy, but not the best runner, great segue. Jack Steele is playing for the Melbourne Football Club in 2026. This has only really happened today. Speed of Melbourne's midfield, worrying ? Although, they've got Rivers, they've got Cozzy in there. How do you guys think this deal will look fruition on the football field in 2026.
It's an exciting day for Melbourne fans. Petrarca and Oliver out, Giath and Steele into the club. To be fair,
Some big names.
To be fair, they have banked 3 first-round picks, 7, 8, and a future first. So we know where their listers at, and it's going to be in transition. And I think the idea behind it will be that Steele will be a big body at stoppages, which they have just lost 2 of in Petrarca and Oliver. So it goes Viney and now Jack Steele. And then, whoa, I've just interrupted myself.
Sorry.
And then obviously a bunch of younger midfielders like Langford and Lindsay. So I think this is really a stopgap thing rather than really trying to think about 2026 in their latter position.
You would never want Jack Steele and Jack Viney at the same set of bounce.
Yeah, that was my first reaction too. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
Absolutely. But I think this does signal the intent of the Demons that this was more about getting Petrarca and getting Oliver and potentially May. They were looking to get out as well. It is more of a cultural thing than actually necessarily we don't rate these guys anymore. Essentially, I see it as pretty good business in that they've got currency back for Petrarca. What did they get in the end? What was the
7, 8, and a future first? I don't know if that was the entire.
That's a huge
The
price.
details haven't come out yet,
Yeah.
but I reckon Melbourne probably would have sent back a first or a second as well.
Well, they don't have a first this year unless it's a future first, which doesn't seem like a good deal because Melbourne's future first would probably be like top 5.
Yeah, true.
So I reckon they've sent back points this year.
They would have
which I
sent back
think-
points, which it still is okay for Gold Coast. I'm not saying that they've got the particularly bad side of that, but Melbourne have got an exceptional deal there for Petrarca. Oliver's probably a bit of a different case. They're not going to get as much back for him, but they get the salary off the books. They bring in Steele on someone who'll be getting paid a lot less money than those guys.
Yeah.
And it's someone just to fill the void why these guys develop. You mentioned speed there, Druzy, but they do have those younger guys that have pace. I actually reckon this is a good, just how they've done this is actually pretty clever.
And MAB points out the culture piece as well. Jack Steele, you're getting a captain former captain of a football club in to replace, Clayton Oliver, for instance. So yeah, you can see the personalities that Stephen King wants.
Yeah.
That's a question too. Like if you're going just for now, Oliver versus Steele on Oliver's current output of what he did in 2025, are you losing that much with Jack Steele?
Probably not.
Granted, you are losing something.
Yeah. That's not a bad point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The characters that the D's are bringing in is quite impressive. Not only King, but Scarlett. Rivers I don't know too much of, but still, like these are actually just like battle-hardened men that they're bringing in to lead their football club. You know what I'm saying?
Well, on the Melbourne point, sorry to interrupt, I just had an intrusive thought. There was a big footy rumour a while ago that the D's would try and get 7 and 8 to move up to 2 with West Coast. Would you, if you're Melbourne, what would you prefer right now? Would you prefer to have pick 7 and 8 in this draft for their list needs, or would you rather have pick 2? The rumour also included that they liked Sullivan and Roby.
I would. So wait, would they rather out of pick 7 and 8 in this year's draft versus what was the other thing?
Pick 2.
Or just pick 2? Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. That's tricky. I would say, based on how Melbourne have recruited over the last few years, I would say they would lean towards having double picks. They've sort of backed themselves in to go for specific players that they really wanted. That being said, if they did want a Sullivan Roby, I'm pretty certain they're going to have to get up
They'd have to
be able to do that. So if they specifically wanted him, he does look like that sort of Petrarca type player. Something that you could potentially argue they've already got in Harvey Langford as that bigger bodied mid, but he's not really explosive. He doesn't really burst through, but he is a goal kicking midfielder as a big body. I reckon they would back themselves in, to be honest, and they'd go after a couple of other players. They might look at, they might rate Sam Cumming really highly and think that they can get him with one of those picks and double up with another midfielder. And they've just done this so well because they've been able to get double picks in 2024, which was a really, really strong draft. They do it again this season. They're really getting almost like a Richmond-esque rebuild happening while they're still reasonable.
Absolutely. So we've just got a donation here from RJS, $2.99. Thank you very much. He's asked the percentage on the Merritt and Kerno deals getting done. Just to clarify, we have no inside information here. We're just going to offer our vibe.
I actually do have inside information.
Oh,
Go on.
Yeah, I was told that Zach Merritt will be wearing the number 5 for Hawthorn next year from a source close to Zach Merritt.
Is this the same source that told us about Sean Darcy?
No, it's not.
so naturally, you would have asked, how does it get done?
Yeah, no, he's wearing the number 5. He's wearing Sam Mitchell's
No, but
number
what
5.
did you? What did they?
Yeah,
Did you ask them?
Look, this is Chinese whispers. I'm like the 4th person in the chain.
Okay.
But Zach Merritt expects to be playing at Hawthorn next year.
Did you? Whoever told you this information, did you just say back to them listen? obviously that would be nice for him. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
But how does it get done?
Yeah, it is a bit like that. And there's been a few trade or players that have wanted to leave their club this trade period that we've had the inside scoop on that we're not gonna mention. But players do speak to the club directly and agree the terms, so that all you have to do is finalise the agreement.
I wouldn't take much from Merritt expecting to be in a certain number, because I won't name the player, but the other thing that we came across was that another player was convinced he was getting to a certain club this trade period, and that has been categorically not true.
Yeah.
Well, it's been proven not true this year. So, and that's not even Sean Darcy I'm talking about there.
We're not going to throw anyone.
Long story short, get back to the question, Merritt.
Yes.
I think this is incredibly unlikely. There was a rumor on Big Footy that
You think it's incredibly unlikely?
I'd say 20% likely.
I think it's more than that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Apparently, Merritt has the trade offer is pick 10, pick 22, and a 2026 in exchange for Merritt and a 2026 third round pick.
So no, isn't it?
Wait, hang on, this is some bot.
Is that the current one? So I've got in my notes here.
Here we go. Tom Morris is just.
I think there's been one that has been rejected, and then a new one came in.
There's a new
very
one. Okay, I've got
recently.
the old one then.
Yeah.
Tom Morris has tweeted Hawthorn's final offer to Essendon for Merritt 10, 22, and a future first. In return, they want Merritt and a future third.
So I read somewhere, big grain of salt on this one, but there is a belief that Essendon, if they can then trade with West Coast for pick 1, using part of the pieces of what they get for this deal, then they'll say yes to the whole thing. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, 10, 22, and a future
Why
first.
has it changed to 10? I thought it was 9.
So the Carlton and Hawthorn did a pick swap today where they swapped 9 with 10.
So why have Hawthorn done that? So that Hawthorn got what did Hawthorn get?
It was a weird trade. Hawthorn moved up to 22 and Carlton got some picks in the 30s back for points.
Gotcha.
So now
Gotcha.
that forms the basis of this trade, which is 10, 22 and a future first.
10.
It's
I
a strange one.
I see.
It's a strange one.
Does that still include Henry Hustwaite? Even though he wasn't, I don't think he was a major part of this deal anyway.
I think, was it suggested that Hustwaite was part of that last deal? I think it was.
Not the latest one that Tom Morris reported, no.
Okay.
I love how that was actually thrown in initially. Hustwaite was kind of just put there like, and if you want him,
Yeah.
you can take him,
Yeah.
but you don't have to, sort of thing.
On Kerno, I expect that to happen.
It's weird how the Florent deal was agreed before. Like obviously,
Yeah.
Kerno and Hayward are a lot bigger pieces to move, but a deal was made between the two clubs. It's almost like they've. He might not be a bishop, Ollie Florent. He might be a pawn, but they've just sacrificed that early on.
It does make you think that Carlton aren't going to let this happen with Kerno, doesn't it? Because it makes you think they wanted to get that deal done regardless. Sydney went, yeah, okay, we'll get that done. Can we still talk about Kerno? And they're like, probably not.
By getting that deal out of the way, both clubs can revert back to posturing for Kerno and not leave Florent in the lurch. Florent was obviously keen. I think all parties were keen. It was a cheap deal for Carlton. Sydney obviously wanted to free up some money. So this takes the pressure off both clubs to then go back to the drawing board with a deal. I've just decided that in my head. That's the logic, I reckon.
What was the deal in the end?
I was like Florent for a future third, I think. So very cheap deal.
I'll
Gotcha.
try to get it up.
Yeah, if you can get that up for me. What do you think he does for the Blues? Obviously, there's been that discourse for them around ball movement and getting some decent ball users into the team. Does he help that? Is he good enough?
I wouldn't have described him as that, at
Yeah,
least not
future
his
third.
A game. Where he plays his best footy is another question. It seems to be more halfback these days, unless I've sort of lost track. But, recruited as an inside midfielder, I'm not sure if he plays at that level for the Blues or in that role, rather. Sorry, we're just getting confirmation.
So,
there.
this is being reported that this is the Hawks' best and final offer. 10, 22 and the future first and Hustwaite. Okay, so Hustwaite is in that. Does that push it over? Does that go, all right, Henry Hustwaite's now in that, we'll take it?
The difference is I think Hawthorn was asking for like 22, not 22, they were asking for a second round of back. No, I'm getting that confused with Kerno, sorry. Forget what I just said that.
So, are you happy? Would you take that as an Essendon? Is it Rosa that's there?
Yeah.
The list manager?
Yeah.
Would you take that? 10, 22, future first, Hustwaite for Merritt.
I reckon that's close. That's close.
Yeah.
I think that's the best that they can do, but I still don't think it matches how good of a player Merritt is. I suppose the future first is in there.
Presumably, though, Essendon are posturing in the background and saying that's a decent deal, But what about Cam McKenzie?
Yeah.
That's what I reckon is going on.
Yeah.
A potential gun inside mid, 21 years old.
That one hits a brick wall if Cam McKenzie's not keen, and they'd waste a lot of time over that. I think if Cam McKenzie's ruled out a move, because ultimately the player has the power. I just want to work through some donations we've received as well. Thank you very much, Lewis. Just finished work to see you are live. Who should West Coast take for picks 1 and 2, or is it still time to trade picks 1 and 2? So on the second part, yeah, we can trade up until obviously the deadline. I believe you can still trade picks till like mid-November. Then there's a lockout, and then there's like 2 weeks with no trades, and then you can live trade on the draft. So this pick swaps don't have to all happen in the next 32 minutes. As for who West Coast should take, if we don't trade the picks, I'm liking Dursma and Roby.
Dursma, Roby. I like that.
A quick comment back on the Merritt deal, because we got Joe in the chat.
G'day, Joe.
He says it's not a decent deal when the picks are basically in the 20s. That's what I'm thinking. Future first now are so vague. You don't know what you're going to get with them. This draft completely compromised. So it's like you're trading away picks that you don't actually know the value that they hold for your captain, 6-time BNF. But at the same time, they probably won't get a better offer than that in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Because you're also giving that player to a team that you're doing the deal with. You're making them better. They already made the top 4 prelim final last year. They're probably not, at least from Hawthorn's perspective, I think most clubs would consider them a pretty sure thing to at least make finals next year. So the pick is going to be getting pushed back.
Can I just point out, this is another deal that is more generous than what West Coast gave for Tim Kelly. And Merritt is 30. I just want to point that out there.
Wait, what's more generous?
What they're offering for Merritt it's more expensive than what West Coast gave up.
Yeah, well, Merritt's twice the player Tim Kelly is.
But he's 6 years older than Kelly was at that age. And was he at the time? I don't think there was that big a gap.
I actually started to do a bit of a deep dive on some of the previous big trades that have gone, going back for the last 20 years. And there's not many huge deals, like monumental deals of this nature with the picks that are getting swapped around for somebody in that age bracket. Like when Judd left West Coast, he was, 24?
Yeah.
24. So he's in the prime of his career. And he probably didn't even get that much.
He got 320 and Josh Kennedy. That's a pretty good deal.
That's a great deal, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was quite that high.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know what Josh Kennedy became, but it was a pick 4 who'd spent 2 years on Carlton's list, I think, or
but
3.
We're sort of talking the same number of picks, roughly. That is better. I mean, Josh Kennedy, you didn't know what he was going to be at the time.
Yeah.
He was a speculative key position player.
Yeah.
Turned into an absolute superstar, so it looks better on paper. But comparing it to other, roughly similar deals like Dangerfield from Adelaide to Geelong, I think it's kind of in the ballpark of that. Again, Dangerfield was a lot younger.
Yeah.
Had a lot of his best football in front of him. Jeremy Cameron, another one.
So his age does have to come into it when you put it like that.
I do think Merritt, if you're looking at it from Hawthorn's perspective, Zach Merritt, he seems like a player. I don't know how much this is just my thought and my feeling on it, but he feels like a guy that could play a long time.
100%. He won't be out of the league in 5 years.
Yeah, he's got those decision-making traits and skills that can kind of carry him to late 30s.
They've got Newcomb to do all their crashing and bashing and Connor Nash. I see Merritt as a around the ground midfielder more than a put your head over it inside mid.
Totally. And which is funny because you probably think about the player that they actually need based on their overall team profile. They struggle a little bit from stoppage, but I think probably what they need a little bit more is just more ball carrying and offense from their mids. I think their highest meters gained midfielder was James Warple with about 300 meters. When you look at Geelong, they've got 2 guys averaging over 600 meters, Max Holmes and Bailey Smith. So
it's exactly what they need, isn't it?
Yeah, just someone to carry the ball. They pretty much do that through their halfbacks more so than their midfielders. But having that guy like Merritt who can go to centre bounce, win a clearance and carry the ball, I think that's kind of the player ultimately.
Just want to quickly thank Brad Shaney who dropped a donation. Thank you so much. As a Carlton fan, I reckon Curnow will stay and will explore a trade again next season.
That's not a bad result for Carlton, to be honest. Haywood has expressed interest to come back. I think that will stay there. Curnow wanted out and he'll probably, maybe another year, see what happens at Carlton this year. And it might change his mind. This move might not ever happen. But he made it clear that he wanted to leave. He toured the Sydney facilities. But yeah.
I actually think Carlton should have made this happen.
Could be the one that got away.
I think it will still happen, is my prediction.
What, you think it will happen in the next 28 minutes? Wow.
I feel it will too.
Yeah, 28 minutes, yeah. Oh, that's heaps of time. That's heaps of time.
This one just makes so much sense for me. I think he's as good as he is, he's just not that important for them right now. So if they can get some capital back, get into these drafts, they've got such an exciting crop of players coming through in the next couple of years with father-sons and academies. So it's a bit of a no-brainer for me just to get a refresh going.
Final deal on Christian Petrarca was 7/8/37 this year, and Gold Coast 2026 first round pick, and the Suns 2027 third round pick. Suns get Petrarca 24 and 28, and they get Melbourne's 26 second round pick.
So where does that leave the Gold Coast Suns? Sorry to make you do maths here off the top of your head. Where does it leave their points?
Oh, as if, Dylan. As if I'm just going to calculate. I think they're about 1482. Some kind of
They
rain
also
man.
landed Jamara in the last little bit today.
That's true.
That happened.
Yeah.
So the Suns, one of the most stacked teams in the competition, have just added a first top pick 1 in the 2021 draft.
2020.
And then Petrarca, another top liner, Normal Smith. Like, man, that team is just ridiculous.
And they didn't lose Humphrey.
And they kept Humphrey.
Yeah, true.
Ewell and Patterson, if they can get that done. I'm starting to think that maybe Patterson could go into the open pool.
It's possible, but I think worst case scenario, Gold Coast, aside from being able to manufacture picks still,
Push them back.
yeah, they can cop a deficit on next year's pick, and if they've already traded their first rounder next year, what they're effectively losing points on is a second rounder anyway. So they just think, okay, I'm assuming there's no academy prospect in the first round next year.
And also not that we know of, but
not that we know of, but like judging by their actions, it
Yes.
seems to suggest maybe
not as much of a strong crop for them. But if they, I don't know, they obviously see guys in like the under 16s and stuff that are coming through, like they might have a couple of guys and they're like, we don't really need draft picks.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting 2 of the top 3 talents or 5 talents, depending on your viewpoint, or 7 talents, Dylan, then I think they're in a position to cop a loss on next year's draft.
Yeah, and they're already starting to push guys away. I doubt they'll go like make a play at all their academy guys this year.
Yeah.
There's a fair few comments about Stephen King entering Melbourne. Joe thinks they've nailed the trade period. How do you think the D's have gone this trade period overall? Quick summary.
At least a 9 out of 10.
Yeah?
10 out of 10. I think they've this is a slam dunk. This is the exact sort of moves that you want to do. And like that, I don't know. Like
Giathin as well, who we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, that's a nice little bonus as well.
Spargo for Giath is essentially a trade because it was the compo pick they generated there.
They've like simultaneously got the age demographic down and have made little marginal gains, like the Jack Steele ones, like a marginal gain in the midfield, I feel, for like cost and those sorts of things. Like they've just moved things around a little bit, shifted the culture, kind of shifted the narrative on them as well. So they've done some sort of media and communications as well as making their list not necessarily better right now, but given the talent that they've got, I think perfect situation, perfect trade period.
Well, they haven't necessarily got younger because they've got Steele and Myercheck in, and they've retained May. But no, bit of a cultural reset. I sort of alluded to it before, but also adding Scarlett. Apparently they're chasing Tom Hawkins as well. So they're just getting some like genuine, good, old-fashioned footballs in there to get that club.
You
to
mean
where
in
it needs to be.
more in the coaching ranks?
Yeah. You wouldn't want
yeah.
Tom Hawkins right now. It's a play.
Yeah. But like, imagine being taught football by Matthew Scarlett. You would listen to that man. He was a scary defender back in his day.
Yeah. I suppose you never know with reputation when you're coming into coaching ranks how well that is going to set you up. But I suppose as far as just the players like having that kind of man management when it's somebody that was such a star.
Yeah. Speaking of one of the biggest trades that we haven't spoken about, it's not a trade, but Nathan Buckley will be the assistant coach at Geelong next year. That is massive. That is terrifying.
Is it?
Well, if he goes on to coach at Tassie, maybe not. But imagine Nathan Buckley's just the next guy to like take over the.
I mean, he
terrifying,
wasn't particularly successful.
Well, he was one kick away from a flag, and he fully coached Geelong.
What year was that? I don't recall.
He fully coached Collingwood from 2011, 2012 all the way through to 2021. So we had a long stint there. Rebuilt that Collingwood list from what Malthouse gave to him. Did they lose that last grand final that Malthouse was in, or did they win?
They lost it.
They lost. And then
that was
rebuilt.
the one against the Cats, 2012.
He did pretty well to get them from, obviously they were an older list at the time, but to get Collingwood back to that grand final, I'd rate him as a coach. I think he did a good job there. Obviously a big job at Collingwood, but
It's a good opportunity for him to learn from someone like Chris Scott. Like obviously different organisation and different philosophies, and then he can take that into Tasmania. I think there's more in it for Buckley than there is Geelong.
That's what I
with
think.
all due respect.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, whoa.
It's, I don't know. I guess he needed this sort of like initiation back into the game before he goes and takes that Tasmanian job, just to kind of get himself, as much as like you're obviously involved and he'd have tons of connections, but just to be working at a club day to day, that's going to help him. But yeah, I don't know. Like I never really rated him. I think he's one of those guys that's changed his public perception like a lot, hasn't he? Over the years since his playing days, his early coaching, probably because he's been in the media, we've got to kind of see that play out a little bit, how he's kind of changed. I think he used to talk about back in the day, he was a lot more hardline with players and stuff like that. And he sort of understands different personalities. But yeah, for me, better for Buckley than for Geelong. Agree.
I just point out there's a bit of conjecture around the Suns and their points. I'm suggesting they're not going to have enough points. And then Rogie points out they have 3,773. They'd be able to match it if they went at 2 and 10. That seems pretty unlikely. So it'd be interesting to see if they're willing to cop a deficit. If that deficit is large enough to push them back into 2027 as well, that'd be crazy. But I reckon, a side note, West Coast tried to get pick 8 and were rebuffed, obviously, because that has now ended up at Melbourne.
Now reckon that means that
It'd be interesting to see if West Coast hold those picks on draft night, whether they bid on Dylan Patterson, and furthermore, whether Dylan Patterson could end up at West Coast under that scenario. That would be, you'd think like Zeke Hewlin, they'll get the first one, but maybe not the second one.
It's such an interesting one, isn't it? Because you can put pressure on the Suns if you're West Coast in that situation.
I'm sure he would have. Yeah.
Well, they really want Hewland. We can set Patterson up. We could even go pick one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And presumably the Gold Coast Suns have scenarios for where they're willing to. It's really a no-loss situation for West Coast as well.
Yeah, that's right. Like I'd happily take Dylan Patterson at pick 2 if that was the way it played out.
Druzy to replace Bucks at Fox Footy in exchange for 3 first-round picks from Scott Curtis. And we got a donation from Luke. Thank you very much. Or Luke. The merit deal gives me PTSD as a West Coast fan. Surely you could get at least one young star in those 3 first-rounders. Not if you're Essendon.
Well, it's a new team though. It's a new recruiting team.
Okay.
I kind of read that from the Hawthorn perspective. They're the ones giving up the picks, which is what West Coast were in that scenario.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, for where Hawthorn's at, you probably have less need for the draft, and you know that even if it goes awry as a powerful football club, they can probably still attract players in the future. But again, people slaughtered West Coast for Tim Kelly, that trade in isolation. It is very similar. I'm sure Hawthorn will be able to get through it if it went through and then it didn't pan out. But
their list demographics set up well to trade a few future firsts away with Cam McKenzie, Nick Watson, Jack Ginnivan. Like just thinking of the young sides of their list at the moment. Weddle, Day's hardly played, but they'll be fine if they go a couple of years without a first round pick in the draft.
Yeah, totally. And you can trades can be win-wins. I feel like we always want to do that black and white. So one team gives up the player, one team gives up the picks, and somebody has to lose. But Essendon could get what they want, and Hawthorn could get what they want, and it sort of works out for everyone.
Riley Beveridge, says, I'm still confident. I'm still confident in a deal that sends Curnow to Sydney gets done in the next 25 minutes. That is Riley Beveridge 30 seconds ago.
That's massive.
It just makes sense. I think Carlton have to clean the decks here. They have to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like...
I don't think his value will drop. Do you reckon it will? If he stays for a year, do you think his value drops?
It really depends how that year goes because he's still going to be contracted, but he will be 29. And if he has a poor year, then it would drop.
It would drop if he got injured.
Sydney would want to get Curnow in now because he's had them tour the facilities. They've traded Florent. Hayward's been mentioned. It just feels like they have done a lot to make this move happen.
Yep.
The amount of talk around the football club at the moment surrounding this trade, you'd want to get it done just for...
You've also got to remember that...
tie ribbon on it.
That pick that they hold, which is... I've actually lost track of where it is right now. Is it pick 11?
Yeah, let's call it 11.
Let's call it 11. That is... It's not useless to them because they can still use it as capital, but they also have an academy player in Max King sitting in this draft.
Yeah.
So it's probably... whether he would get bid on before that, I doubt it, but... It would still be in their best interest to sort of move this pick along in this particular draft because it's not worth as much to them. So it's worth a lot could potentially be to Carlton. Then again, they have Dean as well, so they have to push the picks back. But they've got a lot that they've got to do in the next couple of years as well. So Sydney will want to offload that pick, and if they can get Curnow in the deal, that's perfect for them.
Furthermore,
you're an all-star. Sorry.
Furthermore, let's not forget, Sydney talked Chad Warner into signing a lucrative 2-year deal to extend to free agency.
Singing?
Yes.
Are you singing? It's a Peep Show reference.
You're an all-star.
Sydney talked Chad Warner into signing a lucrative 2-year extension when I think most people in the industry expect he will end up in WA in 2 years. So again, it comes into this Curnow now to help capitalize on that.
The NAS rule.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, even if you expect Warner gets back to WA, you want 2 years where you've got Warner, Curnow and the rest of this list together.
Just to explain that a little bit, we said the NAS rule because we feel St Kilda are doing the same thing with Nasiah signing that short-term deal. They're going to want on-field performance in that time to kind of sell the future.
From one A-grade talent to another, let's talk about Jai Simpkin apparently staying at the North Melbourne Football Club. I've got a lot of cheek for a West Coast fan, don't I?
Far out.
No, I do want to bring up the Jai Simpkin story. I thought this was really fun. The outcome is that he is likely to stay at North Melbourne. North Melbourne obviously asked for 2 first-round picks from Collingwood. There was a bit of a delay, and Collingwood's response was a future second-round pick for Jai Simpkin, which made me laugh. Because
it was better than that, wasn't it?
No, it was a future second-round pick.
I thought they gave a future first.
No, it was a future second.
Which
is just funny because it's like North Melbourne in this dialogue ask, hey, can we have 2 first-round picks? And Collingwood's like, let me just see what I have out the back. Here is a second-round pick. I mean, it'd be so funny if North Melbourne was like, sold.
We probably, not surprised if we actually did do that. But yeah, I kind of see this. I've seen on Twitter and stuff, like, not that that's a great place to look, but Collingwood fans are sort of like, what do North think they're doing? Like, you can't set prices like this high, but we can kind of do whatever we want here, right? We don't have to get rid of him. We don't have to get rid of him. He can play wing for us. It's just that I think he wanted to explore his options and the possibility that he could have played inside mid. He's not going to get that opportunity at North Melbourne. We don't absolutely need him, but we don't really absolutely need him to go either.
There was a noise that Collingwood tried to get Hawthorn's first-round pick, which could still happen, but it would be pushing it. Oh, do we have a trade?
Kern.
Is it?
Heath has just said Curnow exclamation marks. All right, it might have happened.
Kern now or Kern later?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Corey says it was a 2027 future first. That's what I thought too.
That is not what I read.
Let me see.
Buku hasn't happened as well still.
This is what I've got. Collingwood offer for Jai Simpkin, a 2027 first rounder, and we give Simpkin and pick 46.
I must have gotten confused. I could have sworn it was a second rounder, but I'll take 2 people telling me I'm wrong.
North has rejected that offer, saying they want 2 future first-round picks for the 27-year-old. I love how they put wing midfielder now. He's a midfielder.
Yeah, that's true.
We never signed him up to play wing.
He baited me with that big Curnow comment. I thought it had happened.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened.
I just saw the D's on Twitter posting it. Our future is taking shape. So they've added Dolstrop, Lindsay, Windsor, Harvey Langford. They've got 2 firsts in this year's draft. They're going to have 2 in next as well, their own and Gold Coast.
Yeah.
They've pretty much completed the rebuild.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
No, I do admire the way they've gone about it, to be honest.
It's incredible. I'd say the only mark against them for the period is just Judd McVie, right? He walks out, which is a little bit of a loss in a kind of, I guess, like sort of unique position. They probably don't have amazing quality now that he goes out of the team. And he was pretty utilitarian. He could have done a lot of positions.
Don't forget they signed Cosy Pickett to a long-term deal this year as well. So really have taken shape. Some people in the chat are saying it was... Okay, Rogie says the Pies offered a first round and North rejected that. And then the Pies made an offer for a second rounder. They just come back with a worse offer. That cannot be right.
It must be salary dependent. Then
that's a fair point, actually. RJS says it was a future second. Brady Rawlings confirmed it was. So this is confusing.
Okay. Well, the age lied to me.
Toomey, Pixel's got it exactly right. Cal Toomey did post that, which I think is hilarious, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not ideal. While we actually are talking about North Melbourne, did you guys see that Tyron Thomas is eligible to be an AFL footballer again?
Adelaide has offered a future second and a future third round pick to Brisbane for Calamachi.
Not going there?
No, I was distracted. We should talk about Tyron Thomas. For me, it's the idea is a bit gross, but I am on the outside and I don't really know too much. But I remember actually doing a video on this a year ago, and at the time I was well researched, and I'm starting to forget the details. But I remember thinking he was a bit of a piece of work, to put it very, very generously.
Oh, for sure.
So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if there's much in this. If a club really, I mean, clubs can go through their due diligence by all means, but I think it would be a bad look for any club to take him on.
I think taking Jamara on's a risk. Try Taron Thomas.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like, I don't know, like what's behaviourally, like what is the line with these situations? And what I mean by what is the line, as far as he's obviously served a punishment.
I'm going to clip that. Take you out of context.
Sure.
No, sorry, continue.
What is the line as far as like he served the punishment? So like, I guess at what point do you think that he can come back and I guess like do his job, which is to be a professional footballer? Or do you think he gives up that privilege because of the behaviour? Probably.
I mean, 1 year out seems very light. Rogie points out TT played a round of golf with Cripps and Wright. I actually did see this myself on a page that I don't know if it's real.
I saw this myself with my own eyes.
Yeah.
That'd be such a Carlton move.
It would. I would just say, like, fair enough if they just want to play a round of golf for a game. What am I saying? A round of golf with the guy and just get where his headspace is at. And they may walk away from that saying, he's no good, but could be wrong.
God, some names been thrown around in the comments.
Yeah.
How do you think about what do you think about CJ going to the D's?
Hard pivot to a new topic.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. What do I think about CJ to the D's?
We had a comment the other day saying, funny how 3 people sat at home are talking about rating players, but how do you rate CJ?
I think it's telling that he wasn't in Hawthorn's best team really this season. I know he had his injuries and stuff like that. I'd have to say, in all honesty, at this point, he's still just a prospect, isn't he?
Yeah. I feel like you know what you're getting with CJ. I think he is a just athletic, sort of small-sized defender. Maybe he can push up to a wing, but ball use isn't great. So, yeah, as you said, bit of a prospect, bit of an athlete. Someone was chirping me for my sunburn in the chat as well. I was in the sun all day today.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, I mean, I think there's still potential. How old is he now?
CJ, I'm going to guess like 20. I reckon he's like 23, 24.
23, 24, yeah, okay. So he's sort of getting into that hot spot where he really needs to go. I mean,
26.
26, okay. He might have got recruited a bit later.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, he's like obviously getting to that age where you start to need to actually perform, right? So time is ticking for him. He could, I feel like if you got the right role for him, really, instructionally, he just had like one specific thing to do.
Yeah.
It's possible that he's able to do that, but I don't know. We certainly haven't seen it consistently from him at Hawthorn.
I don't think we have that answer for CJ. What is a role that you can give him that he is going to deliver week on week? Because he's been a running half back, but I don't know if he is an asset defensively with his defending.
Yeah,
I feel like he's one of those players that his best attribute is taking the game on as a defender.
Yeah.
But if you're not Jordan Clark, who are you?
He's kind of, he probably doesn't. I feel like as well in 2025, 2026 football that we're going to be going into, there's like a big premium on those guys that have a lot of control with the ball. Like they can be really offensive and helter-skelter when they need to be, but they've also got that control, and he's probably a little bit hardwired, like uber offensively,
For sure. Yeah. When you lose Judd McVee, who's exactly that type of player that you're talking about, it is a downgrade. The Crows have offered a future second and third to Brisbane for Calamachi.
Saw that. Well, let's talk about this for a minute because this is going right down to the wire, and it should, in theory, be a fairly simple trade for the caliber of a Calamachi, who is pretty good, but not an elite player by any stretch. He's a good player. Adelaide have obviously balked at offering pick 16 from him, and I think probably rightfully so, but I don't think it's a million miles off his value. He's probably worth a pick in the early 20s, I would say. So Brisbane letting this go down to the wire, facing the really real possibility this becomes a preseason draft thing. I suppose if you're the Brisbane Lions, like you can afford to lose an Archie for free, make a statement and still win the flag next year.
Totally.
But do you think there's any chance that West Coast drafts him at pick 1 in the preseason draft?
It doesn't normally happen, does it?
West Coast was the other club that chased him, and it doesn't happen clubs don't use it as a threat usually in when they're the clubs dealing with it. But West Coast is not related to this situation now.
No.
So it's Adelaide that's actually running the risk that he ends up at the West Coast Eagles. I wonder if West Coast would actually do this in practicality, because if Archie's got his heart set on the Adelaide Crows and has made plans to move to Adelaide.
You're coming to Perth.
Yeah, I do wonder if West Coast would be so ballsy. It would be the first time in a long time that's happened.
Surely, like, also the relationship breakdown would have to get pretty severe between Archie and Brisbane for that to happen, for the haggling to be over a few spots in the draft.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose Archie would rightfully be a bit aggrieved if Brisbane didn't.
That's what I
let this-
mean.
Yeah, sorry.
If you get picked up on the rookie list, aren't you paid way less as well?
Not in the preseason draft. It's unique. You can nominate your price. So like if he says I want 500 grand a year, West Coast takes him or leaves him at pick 1 at those numbers.
Yeah, okay.
And the same
But at
goes for
that
Adelaide.
point, it's getting pretty dire for him, isn't it? Like, if he's having to say that to West Coast and not sure if they're going to pick him up, like, I suppose then he's got Adelaide as the fail.
That's right. I'd imagine he'd go to Adelaide, say, look, these are my terms, which have probably been agreed upon. He sets those terms in the preseason draft and runs that risk. It would just be really fascinating to see what like the Eagles would do, who, you know, we're interested in. And from a cost point of view, like,
I know
you
when
pay
clubs
some
are at the
salary.
top of their game, they can be a little bit more hard to deal with and stuff. But this feels like a little bit unnecessary from Brisbane
Yeah.
to say, like, what are we talking about here? We're talking the second round pick, so what's something in the 30s
Yeah.
versus probably something in the 20s that they're looking for. And you're not even talking about a pick that Brisbane are necessarily going to use. Like, it's going to be points for them.
Yeah, well, points this year, because we're dealing, that's a future second.
Oh, it's a future,
So
sorry.
that'd be interesting.
sorry.
I don't know if Brisbane has another
Oh, they've got
Jarvis Ashcroft in next year's draft, but it is possible that they have some academy players to deal with.
they've got
You'd think they want picks this
Cooper
year.
Hodge, but he might choose Hawthorn.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
A couple comments coming through. Kartoumi says Geelong have offered 19 and a future second for Rowan Marshall.
Okay.
That's good.
Gee.
That's good both ways.
Yeah.
I think that's closer
Yeah.
to market value.
And
Yeah.
Merritt is staying, says Birdman.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah, we do need to ask, because people can mess with us quite easily. Yeah.
So at this point, Hawthorn have offered the best that they can to bring in Zach Merritt. What would this look like right now in the war room of Essendon?
Interestingly, I saw earlier before Drew's got home, I was watching the coverage, and Essendon had a moment where they've got cameras in every team room or club room, and they put like a jumper over the camera to block what they were doing in the room.
Oh.
So, just a little side piece, didn't really answer your question, but like something has been going on in the Essendon rooms today.
What do you think was going on?
It'd be one of two things. Oh, well, like, why would you cover it up? Because I'd imagine they're not mic'd. So have they brought out a draft board? That's what I'm wondering. And that means they're seriously considering an offer, and or they're potentially trying to trade up with West Coast.
And or strawberry cupcake party.
So they were like messing around with the draft board, like, who are we going to get? Like,
Yeah,
basically
probably.
going like player for player.
Yeah, or they're just doing it for lol.
They could have been.
It's
They could have been
possible.
just doing it for a
Or
while.
they just like strawberry
Or they could have been
cupcakes.
something sexual.
Yeah,
going on.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Oh no, Ross Lyons at St Kilda. There's 4 minutes remaining, but in my experience, we can hear about deals for like 10 minutes after. So we don't necessarily need to know what's going to happen in the next 4 minutes. It'll be more like 15, I reckon.
Can you guys remember, like, going back through the years, the latest deals that you can remember? You guys would have been doing content, you know.
Well, sorry. Dylan says there's handshakes all around between Sydney and Carlton.
Oh.
Sorry.
Is this on KO?
No, I think it's just the AFL website.
Oh, we could actually get a feed of this, could we?
We can, but because we can't hear it, it's kind of...
That's
we could
pointless,
probably
isn't
look at
I suppose you
vision,
could,
but-
if there were handshakes, that
Yeah.
kind of tells you something.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless they were shaking, they're actually like,
Yeah, screw
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Where would I find it?
Hang on, I'll try and get it up.
Deadline day.
Videos latest.
Here we go.
So Petrarca's done.
I'm going to mute it, but we can just have a look at the footage. We've got 387 in the chat. Thank you
Huge.
for being here. Chuck a like on the stream if you don't mind. It just helps us algorithmically if you're enjoying it.
There's a little drum and bass
Algorithmically.
flute number there on this ad.
Say that 3 times. Algorithmically.
Algorithmically. Yeah.
Algorithmically.
Sydney Swans on screen.
Come on.
So where are they? Are they in Sydney?
This is Marvel Stadium.
That's at Marvel.
Yeah.
Are they? They are with Carlton.
Yeah.
They look to be.
There's
What's the word?
Leon Cameron
Pleasurably
and Nick Austin.
flushed.
They've just gone into a separate room.
They nearly shook Graham Wright's hand off, says Heath.
Oh, who's?
That was with
Is
Gusto.
that Paul Connors?
Yeah, who's? Is he Kerno's manager?
I think so. He's like the big dog. He's kind of every big player's manager.
Yeah, I reckon this
on
is
some
done.
level.
This is donezo.
Yep. They're all in there. They've got laptops. They're looking at a LED screen on the wall that is blank.
This is crazy. They're
watching footy from the
talking-
flat.
Just trading.
Trade
Charlie
alert.
Kerno.
It
2 minutes
says-
15.
They've kind of taken that to a new level, haven't they, with all of this stuff?
Mm.
This access is pretty cool. Just to be able to see, like, we are doing the Charlie Kerno deal right in front of our eyes.
Do we?
Pick
do-
57?
I was going to say, do we have any lens on what the pick
Nah,
is?
because we're not listening
What
to
would
it.
you
I don't
guess?
think we'll know.
Yeah, let's guess. I like this.
What was the last offer?
I would say
Yes.
Haywood, a
Haywood.
future first and a future second.
Haywood.
Pick 11 will be part of it.
Yeah, pick 11 will definitely be part of it. So
So yeah, say
can I give you
Haywood.
can I just give you the previous
Go on.
the rejected deals? Haywood, pick 11 in 25 and a first rounder in 26.
Yeah, so 2 firsts and a Haywood.
So what? Who refused that? Carlton.
Carlton.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon Sydney finished? Because I reckon Sydney or Carlton would be thinking Sydney are bound for the top 8.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah. So then the pick
Kerno
is
as well.
the pick is back, right? It's back somewhere between 10 and 20
Mm.
in that sort of range. I reckon it's Haywood. Florence separate deal. It's pick 11. What else could they give though?
Well, there's no guarantee they did offer more.
No, that's true.
It could be Carlton that balked.
Yeah.
But Carlton would be in the market for points, so it could just be an extra little fluff piece in the second round of either
Yeah.
year because they need points in both years.
That's true. That's true. Can you imagine if Carlton
Possibly.
if they rejected this and they went back and it was worse?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, the 26th first round is
and
off the
Jai
table now.
Simpkin.
They must have agreed on the deal before. It must have been agreed now. They're just like formalizing it.
Yeah.
You'd think.
Yes.
Who hasn't been done?
So Archie hasn't been done.
Marshall.
Marshall, yep.
Merritt.
Not confirmed. Merritt.
Deal done. Charlie Kerno will be a Sydney player.
There you
That
go.
is
Done.
confirmed.
Done.
Wow.
Oh, go watch the clip of Merritt's manager losing it at the Hawks fellas.
I saw some. Yeah, right. I saw footage of I forgot his name, the manager agent in the Essendon rooms, and that looked like a pretty tense discussion, to be honest, between him and Rowan O'Brien, who is their head recruiter, I think. He just came from West Coast.
If you were, trying to understand what they were talking to each other about, what do you think the conversation would have been like?
Yeah, I was just trying to think that, like, how complicated could it be really be?
Yeah,
be?
he
Like,
wants
just,
to go to
just take the
Hawthorn.
deal.
Yeah.
Second round, it could be good this year. It could be good, man. Like, I don't really know.
Just going back to the Kerno deal, let's have a look at that forensically for
How did
both
that happen
clubs.
again?
Fuck.
That is disgusting.
That's number 3.
That's 2. Come on
That
now.
was 3. You did it.
Yeah, forensically looking at the Kerno to Sydney trade, we'll go off what the rejected deal was, which is it's probably going to be somewhere in that ballpark figure. Who wins the deal? Who wins the deal?
I think Carlton should be relatively satisfied with that outcome.
Yeah.
I agree.
Buku Kama's also saying it, the Dogs.
Haywood is a good player. They bank points. I think this giving them what is now 9 and 11 in this year's draft allows them the opportunity to trade up as well. So we could be talking about Harry Dean, Jack Ison, and Cooper Duff-Tytler, for example, or Dyson Sharp, whoever tickles
Well, that's
your
what they did
fancy.
last year, didn't they?
Exactly.
Got
I think
aggressive.
they're in a great position for that. They've still got Harry Mackay in the forward line, and they're also thinking about their future. And now, potentially, could they have added something in next year's draft to make it easier to get Walker?
Let's not forget too, from an age profile perspective, they have bought in I won't call him a key forward, but in Haywood, they've bought in a younger player than Kerno as well.
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly younger. And I think potentially a forward that they I know people in the chat last week got stuck into me a little bit because I was trying to compare Hayward and Curnow. It's not that I think Hayward is really anywhere near as good as Curnow. I'm just talking about how it works in that Carlton team because you already have Mackay.
Yeah. He is only 1 year younger, I'll say that. But it's also worth noting, like, this would have been a risk either way for Carlton. You know what I mean? Like, had they held on to Curnow, that would have been kind of a bold move considering where most people perceive their list to be at. And then there's also the downside of, having a player that doesn't really want to be there. But holding on to Curnow and then had they capitulated next year, I think that would have been a really bad look. So, they've kind of hedged both ways this year. They've added two established players from Sydney in Florent and Hayward. They got both of those players in, and they have invested into their future. So I don't think there's too much to be upset about once you accept that Curnow wanted to go.
Didn't have 100%. To lose Papley either, Sydney, which is true. Spoken about Logan McDonald as well. Probably would have been not a bad idea to trade Logan McDonald, but
I mean, even there were some outrageous claims like that Carlton wanted Goulden or something like that. Not that was ever going to happen, but they didn't have to disrupt their midfield at all. They lose a player that was a very good high-level player in Hayward, but probably not someone that's integral necessarily.
Okay, so we got no deal on Merritt. We got no deal on Archie. He will remain at the moment at Brisbane, says Pixel.
Can he agree a new deal now with Brisbane?
He can do, yeah. No deal on Rowan Marshall and no deal on Buku Kamas.
Okay.
So there's actually less action than perhaps I was expecting today.
Yeah.
I just sort of caught the end of it, but Merritt's manager was in the Hawthorn room at the end there and he did not look happy.
So Essendon wanted to pick, this is from Toomey via Dylan Zhang. Essendon wanted to pick 10, 22, a future first and a future first. So 3 firsts and pick 22.
It's outrageous.
Hawthorn did not want to do that deal, and understandably so, for a 30-year-old.
I suppose the draft is just so compromised. So those future firsts, when are Tassie coming in? Is it 28?
So the 27
draft
will be the compromised one. Well, they're all compromised at the moment. But
so 2027 first-round picks, basically a late first. Like
the Tassie drafts, though, they're not as compromised as, say, like it was for the Giants.
Yeah.
Because they have to trade into the future as well. But, it will be. But, like, as Jesse said, they all are now.
You'd feel sick walking back into Essendon and Zach Merritt.
Yeah, well, he signed the contract.
Yeah.
So
not like in retrospect, I know like early on I was saying it was a big loss for Essendon, but I don't know. Like I feel like this is still the way that this has panned out. It's kind of a lose-lose.
Yeah. Well, I was just looking at the demeanors of Carlton and Sydney. All the officials, all there shaking hands, like they look relieved. And then you look at that Essendon and Hawthorn deal and they're both all just sat there like, fuck. Like, how would Hawthorn fans and people at the club be feeling right now that they failed to land one of the biggest gettable players this trade period?
I don't think it's as bad for Hawthorn because at the end of the day, they're already in a pretty good position, right?
They need to fill that midfield void though. Is it as simple as Will Day?
But you can't pay anything. Like from their perspective, if that's what Essendon were asking, there's only so much that they can do. I think it's more difficult on the Essendon side of things. Like you've been in that situation before, like at some point in your life, right? Where, I don't know, you get a job or something like that or something really exciting is happening for you and it falls through. You know how disappointed you are. And then you've got to walk back into that like old job or whatever it is. And that's exactly what Merritt has to do right now. Yeah. It's going to be gross.
Yeah. He's made his bed though. Let's be real.
Oh, I'm not saying it's,
yes, you're just making the observation.
I'm just making the observation of how gross that is. Like to have to lie in that now.
Could Essendon have fucked this? Could this have been
an opportunity?
Yeah.
Oh, you've changed your tune.
I'm just playing both sides here.
That's what we do best.
That's why I feel like both clubs were sat there then going, we missed an opportunity.
I've said for the last little bit, I think Essendon should really explore this trade. I think possibly it could have been done for a 30-year-old. On the Hawthorn side, what I will say for them is had they done this deal, even the deal that they offered, it would have made it incredibly hard to get a Zach Butters or any other free agent who's out of contract next year. Yeah. And I would say that Zach Butters would be a better fit for them than Zach. I was going to say Zach Murphy, Zach Merritt. So there is that opportunity cost. So Hawthorn can keep their powder dry and go for Butters. Now they could miss out on both, but even still, had they traded for merit. Butters had Port Adelaide matched a offer next year, which is probably on the cards given their salary position is probably good. It would have just about ruled them out.
Curnow deal is apparent. I don't know if we went through this before, but Curnow. So Sydney get Curnow, 31, 42, and a future first. So many numbers.
Wow.
Carlton get Hayward and 3 firsts.
3 first-round picks. Bearing in mind, one of them is just an upgrade from a first to a second.
Wait, hang on. I've got to process
The
this.
numbers are too much, eh?
That's one of the biggest offers ever. Bear in mind, Sydney will probably be successful.
So wait, so the 31, the 42, and the future second go to Carlton?
Yes, so they get the points for their players.
For Dean
isn't that?
Yeah, no, that's going to Carlton.
So it's going to Sydney.
Let's go on to Sydney.
It's going to Sydney, sorry. It's going to Sydney.
Sorry.
Carlton are getting the 3
yes,
firsts.
yes. Oh, hang on. Hayward.
This is Trade Radio live. Too many numbers, bro.
So Sydney get those points.
Carlton will get 2025, 2026, 2027 first round picks plus Will Hayward for Charlie Curnow.
Fuck.
That's
Sydney will
crazy.
get the dual Coleman medal winner plus 31.42 and a 2027 second round pick. That's fucking massive.
It's an incredible deal for
It
Carlton.
is. It does remain to be seen where Sydney finish in all of those years because I'm going to back them as being pretty successful over the next 3. So those could be 3 picks in the 18 to 30 mark, which is worth saying. On the other hand, there's obviously a lot of risk here for the Sydney Swans, who admittedly will still get a first round pick this year. So Max King actually alleviates one of those. So it's 2 firsts. Actually, yeah, it's kind of a win-win. Sydney are in a great position for that.
Yeah. No, when you start, it's a lot considering Curnow's age.
Yeah.
It's just one of those ones where because of these academies, you can really hack the draft. You can hack those picks. You can give up more than what it's really worth.
It does kind of put a lot of pressure on the Swans now to win a premiership with Curnow.
Big time.
Totally.
You know, it was the same thing with when they signed Buddy Franklin.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, because of how much of a percentage of the salary cap that he ate. Yum, 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 yum. We hang out too much. Yeah, like that is obviously, there's some parallels there to the Buddy deal, even though that was a free agency move. Sydney have made a very calculated risk here because we're talking, like I said, 2 picks in compromise. They've also got an academy, which could generate more talent for them over the next 2.
That's what I mean. That's what I said about the Gold Coast before. Even if they don't have, maybe in the next draft, they don't have anyone that's great, but they'll know, like in the under 16s and stuff like that, they're working on it all the time and financing it. So
yeah,
it's going to pay off eventually for them. It's only the AFL that can come in and cut it that's going to end that for them.
They do lose Hayward and Florent though.
Yeah, 3 firsts
so
and Hayward for Curnow.
I mean, Florent, I think for Sydney, Florent is like, you can understand why Dean Cox didn't play him in that side this season. He sort of is surplus to requirements. They've got other guys that can outsidey types that are, you don't seem to rate Florent necessarily on the ball as much, but he's one of those outsidey types. I think Sydney have plenty of those players, so he's not a big loss. Hayward probably is, but just how their list sits, what Hayward is doing, for example, like Heaney could go back forward and play that role.
Yeah, they're
and
going
do
to
it
need
better
him
than
too,
Hayward
because they're going to have McLean, Amadi, McDonald, Curnow.
and Max King.
Oh, is he a key forward?
He's Hayward. He is exactly Hayward. He's a 190 centimetre forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Dean Cox does with this Sydney forward line.
Who's it going to be? Who are the tools that are going to make up that forward line with Hayward now gone and Curnow coming in?
Curnow, Amadi, Grundy in the ruck, Amadi pinch hits.
McLean.
I'd love it if it was just those two.
Ladham's a state.
There's too many tools there, man.
Oh, he's a big upgrade though, Curnow.
Oh, he's a
I think
massive
you
upgrade.
run the risk of losing a Logan McDonald.
Yeah, I suppose they figured it out with Hayward in the side. So,
Yeah.
having said that, they were pretty average this year.
Thank you, Birdman, for a donation. He says, trade change the draft at all. Blues move up for CDT. Yes, I have been saying that for a little bit. I think they're in a position to trade 9 and 11, which they now hold as a result of 2 deals today. And that could tempt someone like a Richmond per se who were interested in moving back this year. And then, I think Richmond also want to trade into the future, but let's just use that as an example. They could trade into the top 5 a CDT makes sense. They probably don't even really need to go to midfield centric with Jagger Smith and Cody Walker.
Yep.
But they could go another midfielder as well. Depends who's there.
I feel like that would be, if they went midfield again, that would be sort of repeating mistakes of the past a little bit. Just going too midfield centric. So you'd think if they were going up for someone, I mean,
Xavier Taylor would be someone to diversify that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's quite different to Dean.
Yes and no. They're both sort of like Dean's probably closer to a genuine key position defender, but he is pretty mobile.
Yeah, okay.
Intercepts the footy a lot. So I don't know if they'd necessarily want to do that, but I think you could look at Arobi still. I mean, there's
sort of he'll be there.
Yeah, well, that's no. I mean, that'd be getting up to pick 4, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So he's probably
so
gone,
Richmond
right?
Would have had a pick, and West Coast would have had 2. So I think you'd be very lucky to have Seldom and Roby there. I mean, we were only using Richmond as an example at 4. Like we've seen Carlton fleece West Coast for a top 3 pick before. Like it could happen again.
Absolutely.
As a Swans fan, Finn says Hayward is a moderate loss, but Ollie Florent is no loss at all. He'll be good for Carlton, but was absolutely terrible this year.
Hayward, that is.
No, Ollie Florent terrible this year, but will be good for Carlton.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Hayward had a down year as well, but that's probably more reflective of Sydney's season as a whole. I don't know. I feel like Hayward is one of those guys, because he's not a genuine key position forward. He's probably underrated a little bit. Like I said on the pod last week, he was their leading goal kicker
this year.
Yeah. And he had a down year compared to the year before.
Did he have more goals than Heaney in the end? Did you?
I didn't check that actually, so it could be Heaney. But I mean, Heaney's a mid. So as far as the players that play forward, he definitely was.
So on the players that didn't get
Isaac Heaney was their leading goal kicker. Sorry, with 37.
Hayward next.
Yeah.
What do you have? 32.
29.
29. Gee.
Of the players that didn't get traded, I'd say Archie, I would say, is a bit of a surprise just because it should have happened, but we admitting that it was reported it was always going to go late. Buku Kamis, I'd imagine he's unlucky because Carlton were in the rooms with Sydney up until the last minute. So I'd say that was just a timepiece thing.
Yeah.
Rowan Marshall did not leave. Considering Geelong offered a pick 19 and a future second, I think that's actually, market value. St Kilda presumably just said no, he's more valuable than that, especially with where they're at in their list position. And then Zach Merritt, I don't think we'd say is a surprise.
Could we see any of these happen in the next couple minutes? Like obviously it's closed, but because Geelong and St Kilda, that offer went through for, pick 19 and a future second for Rowan Marshall. So could that still be getting agreed upon?
Well, what I'm reading there is an update from the AFL explicitly saying those players were not traded.
They've fallen through. That's not
so
happening.
That suggests that they know for a fact it's not happening.
Yeah. And that list, just read that list to me again. It was Merritt,
Archie, Marshall, and Karmas.
Oh, I thought Marshall went through.
No, Marshall didn't go through.
It fell through.
He was offered 19 at a future second, and
they said no.
Presumably, or they ran out of time. One of the two. Yeah,
that's a great result for St Kilda, to be honest.
To get those picks.
No, it didn't. Well, it didn't happen. So for Marshall to stay at St Kilda,
is that what you're saying? It is a good result.
Yeah,
Okay.
They keep Marshall. Yeah. They've got that 2-ruck combo with 2 of the better around the ground rucks. They're going to be hard to beat next year, the Saints. They didn't bring in Aaliyah, but other than that, they've had a great
They'll be hard to beat for Freo because you couldn't beat them this year.
Yeah, well, they're one of them teams. Oh, God.
I've used that joke 4 times.
Yeah.
It's like the one West Coast joke I can make at the moment.
Your club's a joke, mate. Sorry.
Fucking St Kilda. I suppose when you consider next year, 19 at a future second with 5 minutes to go in the trade period, you can see why that's not particularly tempting to them.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments here a little bit. Chaz Sports, Curnow, McLean, McDonald. Thoughts?
I think he's talking about the 3 that Sydney would go for.
Yes.
Or is he?
No Amadi.
Yeah.
No Amadi.
Surely Amadi.
I would have thought Amadi would go ahead and McLean would be second ruck.
Yeah.
McLean, he's saved.
Third choice ruck?
No, he'd ruck behind Grundy. I would have thought.
So he just sits in? No, I think Amadi does that as well. So I feel like Amadi and McLean are the same player. You don't want to have both of them in the side at the same time.
Yeah, it's probably
perhaps. Then may be McDonald.
McDonald's as far as from a draft capital point of view, he was the highest pick, wasn't he? Pick 4.
Yes. Yeah. He was higher than Curnow actually. But just different year, obviously.
Yeah. Absolutely. People asking what Curnow went for. It was a crazy deal. Spaniard. It was a crazy deal.
Yeah,
3 first rounders.
Yeah, so Carlton receive 2025, 2026, and the 2027 first round picks of the Swans, and Will Hayward for Charlie Curnow, who also get picks 31, 42.
When you look,
and
I was going to say, when you look at it
second.
contextually, it's not as crazy for Sydney, but it's crazy on the rest of the competition.
I just want to point out Amati had 9 hitouts for the season.
Oh, what?
So I don't know if that is the way they'll line up.
All right, well, I need to watch more Sydney.
No.
Didn't they play? Who's the other? What's his name? The other ruck that Sydney has. Laddams. Yeah. Did he just fill in for Grundy, or did he play second ruck at times?
I don't think he played that much. Let's double check that.
Did Buller go through?
Yes, that did get done.
That went through. Yeah. Okay.
And
Collingwood had
Sarong as well.
Yes.
Sarong, and Collingwood had one other deal, didn't they? That did go through.
Not that I can
I
recall.
thought they did for might have been Simkin. I was thinking I might have been confused. Rogie's just given us a super chat. Thank you very much, Rogie. $5. Great work for the year, lads. Can't wait for the draft. Also, hypothetical, if Pies got Hawks first rounder, who would they want coming would be ideal?
Those last 4 words seem tacked on and irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's a bad joke. I'm sorry. Continue. You answer this one.
Oh,
yeah, they
okay.
did go for the Hawks first rounder. I do wonder if that was a Simkin thing, but that'd be bold to go for pick 10 to offload for Simkin.
That'd be absolutely mad.
Yeah.
If they did that,
And they might as well just have offered a future first anyway.
If Pies got Hawks first rounder, who? So this is a complete hypothetical because it's not happening. Is it?
Exactly. Let's say Collingwood have pick 10. Yes.
Who
Hawthorn have
is
10
best for
Collingwood?
For Collingwood.
Yeah. Thomas McGuan has promise.
Thomas McGuan. Yeah, we're going to get Zach McCarthy, so that's a nice start. Yeah, I mean Sam Cumming. I don't know. Would you probably just prefer maybe a more conventional midfielder if you're Collingwood? Maybe they would go after an Oliver Greaves, who would just kind of fill that void of. I feel like what they're trying to do with a player like Simpkin. They were having a sniff around Rowbottom as well. You could go for someone like an Oliver Greaves.
The row is silent.
Having a sniff around Rose bottom. Sorry,
I didn't even click with that. But definitely, yeah, Sam Cumming. I'm trying to think who else. Jacob Farrow would be another one that would be in that range. I don't think the Pies, if they were going to the draft, they wouldn't go for a tall.
If they did, maybe Threadgold, or Schubert.
Schubert.
There's some good talents around that range.
Yeah, there's some nice key position players. Mitch Marsh, even if you wanted that kind of third tall type. But
True.
Collingwood just don't like the draft, do they?
Nah.
They just do not give a shit about the draft.
They'd honestly just probably go best available.
Yeah.
Did Merritt stuff up by not keeping his options open to other clubs, says Electric Lou?
Well, presumably he wanted to go to a club in contention.
Yeah.
So who was in contention that also had a decent pick? Hawthorn is the only one.
Yeah. Couldn't have made it to Collingwood.
Yeah, Collingwood couldn't.
The reframe there would be, do you think he didn't leave it open to maybe go interstate? Because maybe one of the clubs that could have actually got this done was a Gold Coast. Would they have gone for him?
Yeah. I mean, you prioritise Petrarca, in my opinion, for the Gold Coast Suns.
I think you would too,
needs.
just for the needs.
Yeah, in the terms of the way he completes that team.
Yeah. Merritt is pretty adaptable though. If, say for example, last year they went after Rioli and John Noble, Merritt, if he went to halfback for the Gold Coast Suns, for example, that would still be an upgrade.
Yeah.
Play a wing role. I mean, they've been playing Braden Fiorini on the wing.
True.
Would you prefer Merritt?
No, I'm more of a Fiorini man. Well, now they've got both of them because that is another deal that happened earlier today.
Shit, yeah.
Fiorini got traded for, I think it was a future third. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The only reason I bring up Gold Coast is they're probably the only club that wouldn't have given that much of a shit about the picks.
Yeah, totally.
And could actually get it done,
Yeah. I mean, Adelaide were not in a better position to trade for him. Port Adelaide, certainly not. They had no first rounder. Fremantle could have got it done, but still had a worse pick than Hawthorn. So, no, I mean, he probably did pick the best club he could have that also suited his needs.
In Melbourne.
Yeah. But even if you include the interstate teams, other than the Gold Coast Suns.
Gold Coast Suns, yeah. Bomberboy85 says, as a Bombers fan, I'm pissed. We could have had 5 players. I think this is an interesting talking point. Do you think footy fans in general sometimes place too much, especially when you're in the position of an Essendon who haven't been successful for a long time. Do you put too much weight in these young players coming out of the draft, and you should be a bit more worried about keeping guys like Merritt?
My stance is probably has been that Essendon probably should have made this trade
I agree.
because of the age.
Yeah.
So I think when you're talking about a 30-year-old and not like a 25-year-old, and for Essendon's list position, I think they could have got this done. There's so many like side stories with this, and wanting to appear strong as a club and I get that. I mean, in a sense, like we're all kind of annoyed at these contracted players demanding moves like 2 years into a lucrative contract. We don't want to see our clubs get walked over. So I'd imagine some Essendon fans will be pleased that hasn't played out in that way.
What are the outcomes if this trade goes through? Essendon goes to Hawthorn, potentially wins a flag.
Merritt goes to Hawthorn.
Who did I say?
Essendon. They merge.
Essendon goes to Hawthorn. I've been in the sun all day. Merritt goes to Hawthorn.
Hawthornson.
What does that even mean?
Hawthorn Bombers. Bomber Hawks. All right, anyway, let's try that again.
Yeah.
Merritt goes to Hawthorn, potentially wins a flag within the next 3 years. Essendon, nowhere near winning a flag with Merritt for the next 3. Potentially bring in 3 first-round picks for Merritt. You'd probably prefer to see that deal done, really, as opposed to let's keep Merritt. Hawthorn are going to get all those picks and nail them in the draft because they are great at recruiting anyway. And what do you get? Your captain who's not going to be captain next year that doesn't want to be there.
We might just have somebody sitting at the table that is actually best equipped to answer this question, because Jesse lost Chris Judd back in 2007 as a West Coast Eagles fan.
Still hurts.
I want to actually ask you about this, because I reckon when everything like went under the table, just came into my head for some reason.
Those are rumors.
After everything happened, were you actually disappointed by losing Chris Judd? And I'm not, like, clearly you would have been at the time because he was a gun player in the prime of his career. But after everything, and you guys obviously getting better pretty quickly and being able to compete again for in grand finals and premierships and stuff, was that ultimately bad for the club?
No. I think Judd leaving was probably a good outcome. It helps that we were traded Josh Kennedy. That does help. And we had, pick 3, we became
Maston.
Chris Maston. I mean, he's a decent player, but that's not really the centerpiece of the trade. It was really about JK. And if we don't have JK, we don't win the flag. It also helped that, in a way, that with closure, that Cuz also sort of capitulated that off-season and was sacked in the same off-season. So there wasn't too much doubt that if we had kept Judd, we could have stayed competitive. So I think we just sort of accepted we got a bit of a head start on the rebuild that year. It's set a bit of a foundation for what we would eventually become. So we're kind of lucky in a sense that those things happened at the same time and we were able to move forward with one vision.
Do you think there's any parallels between, I know it's a different situation because you guys have been recently successful, but are there any parallels that Essendon fans could have taken from this that it's actually spin it as a positive?
To have kept Merritt?
No, to have got rid of him in the same way that the West Coast Eagles did. Obviously, there's contextual differences, but
I think so. Yes. I mean, what is the best case scenario here for Essendon now, other than making a stance? It's a few more years of Zach Merritt, maybe 4 more good years, and that's good. But is it really going to be a real needle mover in terms of Essendon's next 4 years? I think they're going to.
Back.
They're unlikely to be playing finals over the next few. I would have thought.
How much of a loss is it for Hawthorn not getting Zach Merritt through the door?
Because of the status of the club, they can move on to the next target pretty quickly.
Yeah,
and
they can go Butters next year, can't they?
Yeah, they're going to be attractive. They may not get Butters, but it'll be someone else.
Not the end of the world for Hawthorn. Yeah, I probably feel like, I've backflipped on this, but I think Essendon have made a mistake.
Have won the trade period.
Got a super chat.
Lewis, do West Coast have enough list spots for Archie and Robertson? Dev Rob got done, didn't it?
No, he got.
I love how you guys have just pivoted onto Archie now. You're going to pick him up in the.
What happened with Dev Rob?
He's going to be delisted by Brisbane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a trade is not necessary. Yeah, we'll get him. Yeah.
So that was the first part of the question. Also, how many NGA/father sons do we get? And is Cody Curtin worth a punt?
I'll move through these quickly, and I'll also turn to you for the Curtin question.
Yep.
But I think West Coast does have enough space for, well, certainly Robertson will probably go to the rookie list. So he's like an extra list now. Archie, I think we could make that work I think Tom Cole and Jamie Cripps are maybes to, like, they've been offered contracts. I don't even know if they've been signed. They can at least be moved to the rookie list, or, Jamie Cripps could still retire. Like, there's still some wiggle room there. We could make it work. I don't think it's likely. How many of the NGAs do we get? I do want your opinion on this, but I would say that Tyler Williams and Charlie Banfield are pretty close to locks. I'd say Covey Evans is a good chance, either through the rookie draft or through the national. But Wes Wally probably the furthest back. Cody Curtin, my short answer before giving to Dylan is that I think he is worth a punt. I think he's probably a bit big at the moment, and we've seen that he's actually not a bad athlete, so he probably needs to slim down a little bit, and I think he could be a decent player. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
I don't really need to say anything else because you said it exactly how you even ranked those players of the NGAs in the same order that I would. I think Williams is the highest upside of those. Who else do we say? Banfield looks really, really good.
Yeah.
He's back end of the year. I think he's improved the most out of all of those guys. Evans, he's probably a long shot at this point, but you did mention that he could be rookied.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Wes Wally got picked up. I'd be very surprised. And Cody Curtin, I think he's going to be great. It's just the range. Like it's a difficult one to understand. There's kind of that cutoff point at like probably 20 to 25 in the draft, where the quality drops off, and he's somewhere in that next group. But I wouldn't be surprised if he went as high as pick 30, but probably somewhere between 30 and 45 in that range for me.
More of a genuine key forward than his brother is, right? Who's a bit more of a utility.
If you wanted a bit of a player comparison of someone currently playing in the AFL, it's probably like he's that Jesse Hogan type.
Jed
Walter.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw from Jed Walter in that 100-meter sprint at the grand final that he's a little bit quicker than Cody Curtin. But he's got potential for sure.
Makes no sense to have him at the club, says Matt. I think this is referring to Merritt.
Yeah.
Isn't going to help you win a flag, as you guys aren't contending for a decade, and having someone there who wants to leave just doesn't make sense. How have they kept Merritt and they're still the losers?
Yeah, it's funny because if Merritt never asked to leave, like we wouldn't be saying this, would we? That it was like such a good, it would have been such a good opportunity to trade him or something. I don't know. I think probably when they get back together for preseason, Merritt's not the like Merritt will play well next season.
Yeah,
I have no doubt in my mind about that. He's just one of those guys that I think it's because of his. I mentioned it in one of the early episodes when he first decided he wanted to trade, and I said he's a bit of an individual guy. Like I don't feel like he's the best club captain. But he has so much personal pride in himself that I feel like it's so much so that he won't let this affect him professionally.
I actually just had another thought re-essed and just putting it back into their shoes here, I'm putting myself into their shoes rather, putting it in their shoes. Look, they already have a strong draft hand this year. Yeah. So there's some sort of feeling of diminishing returns about getting more picks. That's probably not diminishing returns, but like how much do you really want to invest in one draft? And then future picks, like, would you really want to give up Zach Merritt for the sake of 2026 picks and 2027 picks when you can just revisit this in a year? They've still got that time. So I can understand actually now I think about it, how it's not a massive deal that they foregoed.
Try again.
Foregone.
Went the past tense. Got weird.
Forwent. Yes. That they passed up on pick 10 when you've already got 5 and 6, and you know, they've got some academy players this year, and it's not a particularly strong draft, so they could actually just push this into next year.
I think you make a really good point about the stacking of picks, because I don't know what the data is like. It'd be really interesting actually to see what the data is like on teams that go really heavy in one particular draft. I suspect it's hard to find clear data on that as far as...
Yeah, I mean, Richmond will be a good case study.
Which year? Last year, of course. We haven't got enough time.
Maybe the expansion clubs.
I was going to say Hawthorn in the draft where they got Roughhead, Franklin, Lewis, and was Mitchell in that same
was
draft?
that a success?
No, Mitchell was in 2001.
Was that a success? Yeah, I don't know. Hodge and Mitchell were the same draft, and I think Roughhead and Franklin were.
And Lewis.
Lewis was 2001 or 2004?
No, 2004.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so they were all in the top 10.
Yeah, wow.
Those three.
Shout out to everyone that's on the stream. I think we've peaked here with over 500 people, 512 watching now, which I think is a true footy record. So
it was 5:30 a minute ago.
5:30 a minute ago. No, it's actually
I think your
8
point, though,
PM.
on that last thing we just talked about, on your point, the draft being, if it's, conceivably weaker and the club see it as, they perceive it to be weaker, that makes you go, like, do we really want to load up on this draft?
Exactly. And therefore, if it's about 26 and 27 picks, like to give up merit and cash in on those picks, like you can just do that in a year's time. There's not enough instant gratification for it to be juicy now when they can do the same thing in 12 months.
What was there a 2027 element to this deal?
Essendon asked for firsts in all 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
And that was rebuffed.
Because they've got Buick in 27, right?
Yeah.
Coming through
that's
as
right.
well. So that's probably something else to consider. But
Yeah.
very interesting. Very interesting to see how this plays out. You never know.
Exactly.
We're also like 75 subs short of 35K. So
True. Well, if there's 490 people in here that have not hit subscribe, we just lost 10 as I said that. It would be great to have you join the True Footy
universe.
or even just chucking a like on the stream would be very helpful. Thank you.
I can't believe that Gold Coast have added Jamari Ugle-Hagan and Christian Petrarca to that list.
They overpaid for Petrarca in a sense, but they underpaid for Ugle-Hagan, and in the end it becomes a real
So what was that deal for Petrarca in the end?
It was 7 and 8 plus 37. And
the
next
future
year's
first?
the future first, but they give up future second Melbourne, and you think Gold Coast will be good, you think Melbourne won't be, it's maybe not that big a push. So it's a bit of an upgrade, like a 10-pick upgrade maybe on next year. That
Gold Coast forward line, let's just re-image it for a second. Jed Walter, Ben King, Jamari Ugle-Hagan as your three tools, right?
Ethan Reid as well in that.
Well, that's what I'm just thinking. Does he get pushed out, or does Jed Walter get pushed out?
Gettable?
Well, I feel like Jamara will be a project player for at least the first half of the season. Can you prove yourself in the VFL? Can you be disciplined in our... What? What are you smirking at me for?
Nothing.
Well, that's what he needs to do. He needs to go there, have a bit of discipline about him, get a bit of routine, be a good boy, and then you'll be rewarded with footy. And if he does, that's another thing. There's been talk about Jed Walter potentially being gettable. And we're talking last show about Ben King out of contract next year. So they've got the option there now. There was a comment earlier talking about how much of a gun he was in 2022. Massive get for the Suns if they can get him on track. And I'm going to back Damien Hardwick and the Suns to really get him going.
We talked about Merritt being able to get back into that Essendon team and just hit the ground running because he's such a pro. We've seen that with other players. Petrarca last year, he maybe didn't have the best season, but it's probably more to do with the injury more so than a mentality thing. How do you reckon Bailey Humphrey is going to go after this sort of exploration that he's had with Melbourne clubs wanting to get back here and that sort of falling through? I think he was a little bit disappointed. A younger guy, obviously, so it's a little bit more to deal with, and someone that hasn't, he hasn't put together that breakout season yet that's kind of like elevated him into the top echelon. I'm pretty sure that he will, but do you think this off-season is a sort of, stagnation potentially in his career?
Yeah, you'd hate to see him go back to the Gold Coast and all his peers know that he wanted to leave, and then he sort of gets in his own head and doesn't play the footy on the trajectory that he was on. Having said that, he's going to play better footy in the system of Gold Coast and Melbourne anyway, you would think. So
100%.
Yeah, I think at least this wasn't a sour situation like the Merritt one. That seems to get really toxic. With Bailey Humphrey, I think they may be able to empathise with a young man who I think homesickness really is driving it. I think he's from a country town and, as I think from the very early portion of his career has missed home. And I think that is his primary motivation. So I think it's a little bit different to, a Zach Merritt wanting out to join an arch rival when he's the captain, for instance. So to answer your question, perhaps he's in a better position to have his teammates accept him back into the club. I don't think I don't think there was a formal trade request, but we all know that he wanted to go home, I think.
Yeah, I guess different situation, but you could imagine, say, situation like Jason Horne-Francis. Imagine if North Melbourne had have held on to him. You'd be a little bit more worried about somebody like that who is already expressing a want to go home and is probably, there is an element of that where if you're thinking about those things, you're not concentrating necessarily on the football as much.
That's true.
Which just adds in a little bit of worry for me. That's the only reason that I'm bringing it up. It's like, Okay, I'm surprised that you wanted to leave the Gold Coast given the football project that it is up there. And then now you've got to walk back in as well, being a little bit disappointed. Apparently, I think it was Toomey or Tom Morris reported that he actually was genuinely disappointed about not getting the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he probably got his hopes up based on my intuition. He definitely got his hopes up. That being said, at least he has, he signed at least one contract extension with the Gold Coast Suns. So in contrast to Horn Francis kind of spat the dummy pretty early. At least Humphrey at one point saw himself being on the Gold Coast Suns for a few years. So I think
because of the contract.
Yeah, the contract implies that he doesn't hate it there. And so I think he can reintroduce himself back into that system. And at least I think there's a good chance.
Do you reckon there was any element with him from a mental perspective that he's like, well, Petrarca's coming in, and Petrarca, like, they play pretty similar roles. Not that Humphrey, I think, would have been worried that he was going to get pushed out of the team, but just that they've brought in another player.
His role's going to be suppressed.
Yeah.
Possibly. I wonder how much Petrarca might, Bailey Humphrey has indicated that he wants to come back to Victoria. How much Petrarca will be like, yeah, mate, go back to Victoria, but make sure you play for the D's. Do him a little some
from
sweet nothing.
The favour perspective.
Petrarca. Yeah, geez, great advice.
I don't know about that. Wasn't Petrarca like desperate to get out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's good there.
I think he'd rather have Bailey Humphrey as his teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, in Petrarca's situation for sure, because he's already proven himself.
Yeah.
I was thinking this today, thinking of the Sydney and the Carlton trade. Heading to Carlton would be daunting. Kerno's like, God, thank fuck I've got out of Carlton, and all the fans just crazy, all the pressure, moving to a big club. Florent and Hayward are walking into that, and Kerno's like, fuck, I'm gone.
Yeah.
The dynamic of a club that you're moving into is something to consider.
How big of a part do you think that plays into things for players, both negatively and positively, when they're assessing all of these things? Obviously there's that, I want to go somewhere for success, but we mention it with the Gold Coast Suns because if right now you're moving to the Gold Coast Suns because you want that success, it feels like a sure thing with them.
Yeah.
They've got small crowds. How much does just the pure big club thing play into it in the AFL? I want to go to Collingwood. I want to go to Carlton. I want to go to Richmond.
I think it undoubtedly has an impact. Yeah, I think players definitely prefer to play on the MCG.
Yeah, it's the MCG factor, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Specifically.
That's what I've heard.
I think I think those playing at Adelaide Oval and at Optus Stadium, but probably not feeling that gap too much. But perhaps a Gold Coast player would, or a Giants player. I think that makes sense.
They would be the ones, wouldn't they? I mean, Sydney draw pretty big crowds. I think it definitely, it obviously hurts clubs like St Kilda, North Melbourne, the Western Bulldogs.
All the Marvel teams.
Yeah, I guess, did we say that Essendon play more games at Marvel?
I think when they are unsuccessful and not in the finals mix, they do tend to.
So they've tended to
for
a long time.
But I guarantee it'll be like Richmond. Richmond used to play a fair few games at Marvel back in the day. When we'd travel to play Richmond away, we'd often be at Marvel before they got good. So I think there will be a switch when Essendon's playing finals. They'll get more MCG games. There's no reason why they wouldn't, in my opinion.
Rogie just put in the chat, Humphrey had a deleted post on Insta where he liked a comment saying he'd look good in black and white. I reckon the Pies make a big play for him next year.
Yeah.
With what picks?
I don't know how Well, they could falter because they still have their first next year. So if that could end up being a more lucrative pick than it currently projects to be. I don't necessarily predict that right now, but obviously we look at Collingwood as somewhat vulnerable over the next few. So then there's free agency as well.
They've lost Mychek. They've got in
Buller.
Mason Cox still without a contract. Tom Mitchell with a contract.
Oh, true. So Tommy Mitchell just sit on that for another year.
Yeah,
So Mason Cox doesn't have a home at the moment?
But he could still be offered another contract. He was just told to explore his options.
Okay.
So he could still be at Collingwood. Do you think it's Collingwood or no one at this point?
I don't know if I was dreaming the other night. I don't know why this has come into my head, but could he be a third choice at Freo now that we've lost Liam Reedy? Third choice ruck forward.
Did I?
No.
Well, we don't have a backup ruck anymore.
Just as a backup.
We don't have that sit in the twos until Darcy has a sore knee ruck anymore.
I actually read a comment that I'd completely forgot about. Someone commented on a True Footy video saying that JL and Mason, I think it was Mason Cox, were seen in Singapore having a coffee.
Singapore.
What are they doing? Why would they be in Singapore?
Well, it's also unlikely that somebody who knows about footy walk past them and like, is that Mason Cox and Justin Longmuir? Like that
Coffee in
seems.
Singapore.
Oh, it could be.
Surely that would have had to have just been they happened to be at the same hotel,
Let me
saw
see.
each other and went, do you want to grab a coffee?
Yeah, true.
All right.
mate.
Where can Mason Cox go? Brisbane? No. Gold Coast?
Let's not go through them all.
No. Where are the homes?
Carlton.
Trying to find the comment.
Carlton.
Collingwood to Carlton. The Figo transfer.
Yeah, it was JL and Cox. Thanks
Spotted
to
in Singapore having a
Zepham.
coffee
That's
2
got
days
to be
ago.
bullshit.
2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean they used to both be at Collingwood, so it could easily be.
Just
Yeah,
mates.
just mates catching up, going to see the Singapore Zoo,
Family trip
Sentosa
together.
Island. It's not bad there.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys reckon about the general consensus amongst football pundits at the moment seems to be that the extra, like the lack of the sub, losing the sub and having that extra player for the entire game is going to add in a second ruckman to most starting 23s that doesn't necessarily exist. Thoughts?
Yeah, because the rotations aren't changing.
No.
So having in
Is it just a ruck on the bench that only goes on when your primary ruck comes off after 8? Like, is it a 20% ruck time?
I suppose sort
Player.
of. You could also throw in some just tactical moves where you want to just test the opposition, chuck him in the forward line or something. But yeah, I guess so. Because what Jesse's saying is you can't change like adding in an extra running player isn't necessarily going to help you because you don't have the interchanges to use it anyway. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To get the benefit.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that answered the question at all.
It's just interesting it's so hard because you haven't really got a good lens on what these like slight little changes in the ruck are going to do.
It's hard to forecast that. Yeah.
It probably ultimately decides a player like Mason Cox though, for like what teams are thinking about doing.
That's true.
Widescreen TV says it's amazing how little value 2027 first round picks have.
Yeah, I suppose.
And that alludes to the NBA because the NBA, they'll just stack picks and like, we'll give you 27 first round picks for Kevin Durant.
Oh, got ya.
Yeah. I mean, in this particular case, it's the compromised Tassie draft, which, isn't as bad as other years, or other compromised drafts, but it will still be somewhat compromised.
For sure. When you add in the probable academy players as well.
Yeah. And then you've got the other element where clubs can still they've got 2 years to correct that if they trade a first that year, for instance. We saw Melbourne do that. They kept trading future firsts into the present over and over again.
Yes.
We're going to go into winners and losers of the trade period, or will that be Saturday?
I think it will definitely do that Saturday.
Cool.
What do you think about Hawthorn here? Is there any level of Schadenfreude here because of their tendency to have luncheons with opposition captains and miss out on both Oscar Allen and Zach Merritt?
Yeah, they failed to land the fish that they wanted. Who did they get in?
I don't know if they got anyone in, have they?
No, I mean, they got Battle and Barras last year.
Yeah, that's right.
They were
We were trying to think on the way here who's had the quietest trade period.
They lost Warple.
Lost Warple. Huswaite stayed in the end.
Yeah.
He's going to be pissed.
Well, does he just naturally take Warple's spot now?
He
but
never
then he-
requested a trade.
No, he didn't, but the whole narrative all year was that he wants to play
You're
AFL
saying that he's
football.
going to be pissed because he's not going to have opportunity.
He's just going to be in the same situation he's been in for
He
the
won't
last
be
few
pissed
years.
if he gets games, but yeah, it's a good point because you've still got Josh Ward came into that team late.
He played his best footy this year, I thought.
For
Ward.
sure. He still needs that, he just needs that season though, doesn't he? Where he's
Yeah.
like an integral part of the team for the entire season. It's a good final series. I mean, Mackenzie played VFL in the finals. He wasn't in their team, which is
Yeah.
incredible. So maybe Huswaite still misses out if Mackenzie's able to have a developmental year.
I don't think he elevates into the Hawthorn team for the first round of next year when you consider Will Day will probably be on ball as well.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I think he's up against it to make it, to be honest.
I guess that's the way Hawthorn will sugarcoat this. The fact that Will Day comes back into the team, it's sort of like a new signing.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what Hawthorn do with this pick, what is now 10.
They still have it, don't they?
Yeah, because there was a suggestion that they could trade with Collingwood into the future. That is still possible, and it would help their case for trading for a Zach Butters, for instance, next year.
That's a good thing to consider too here, because they can continue to trade picks up until draft night.
That's. I think there is a cutoff of like a 2 weeks or something beforehand. I don't know the details off the top of my head, but I think last year it was like 10 to 12 days before the national draft. You could trade picks up until that point, so we could still see some movement, particularly at the top end. With did anyone? Oh, Carlton will still need to trade 10 and 11 or 9 and 11 with a Harry Dean bid. Sydney got rid of the Max King pick, and then there's been suggestions about moves for picks 1 and 2 and 3 as well.
Who won the trade, Sydney or Carlton?
Win-win.
I think win-win. That's
fun.
It's a boring. Yeah, it's a really boring answer.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I reckon Carlton won it.
Carlton. Okay.
But if Sydney win a flag with Curnow, this all like that's how they win it back. But I suppose we're not talking about that. We're talking about the value. Yeah. That's all we can say right now. You can talk about the outcomes and who won the trade afterward. Because then you'd say, like, going back to the famous Judd Kennedy trade, you say West Coast won because Kennedy won a flag. But that's a little bit different to saying, like, who actually did better in the trade outcome.
The difficulty with AFL is because of the academies and father sons and stuff like that. The picks aren't all worth the same to everyone. It's the same. It's like saying who won the Dan Rioli trade. Like, if you're everybody else in the AFL, it sort of looks like Richmond won it, getting those amazing picks. But it made Gold Coast better. They played the first final series.
Yeah,
they're happy.
Yeah, at least for Carlton, they get rid of a player that didn't want to play for them, and the opportunity cost of keeping Curnow over the next few years, when most people think it's very unlikely Carlton's going to win a flag in that time frame.
For sure.
They bank on their future a little bit, make it a little bit easier to get Cody Walker, potentially get another pick in before Harry Dean this year, and then in 2027 again another extra first rounder. Who knows how valuable that will be, but coming into the Tassie era, they will have replenished their list through the draft, and they still added Florent and Hayward.
God, Matt makes a good point. Curnow's going to get some very good delivery. Heaney, Golden, Warner feeding it into him. You think of that Carlton, the way that they move the ball, the whole time has just been put it on Curnow's head and watch him wrestle it to the...
Imagine Golden just slicing
that's
and
actually
dicing.
scary. Now I think about the other players that are involved in both clubs.
Yeah,
that's scary.
They've also going to add Max King. Who knows how much impact he'll have in his first year, but they did trade for Jai Sarong and Malcolm Roses Jr., who were unheralded, but also still players they added to important positions.
I think as well for Sydney, like when they were such an obvious team, what they needed, I think that's half the battle for clubs going into trade periods. It's like, what do we actually need that is going to make us better? Sydney had that like sweet spot age group in the midfield of Goulden and Warner and Heaney and those guys. Rowbottom's a good player too. They just clearly needed to keep like a good key position forward, right? That's like the main thing, and then maybe a key position defender.
Yeah.
They've ticked that. Maybe they haven't got an absolute A-grade key defender, but they always seem to make it work. They've got good leaders back there, McCartan, these types. So slam dunk for them.
What do we think about Carlton's list now without Curnow? They added Campbell Chesser, Liam Reedy. Who's the other? Ben Ainsworth was the other big one that they landed. And now Hayward's very busy this off-season.
Did you say Florent? I don't think you added
and Florent as well. So
that's a huge shuffling of the list.
It is,
at
but
the very least.
It almost shows you that Voss has gone, our game plan doesn't work. We suck at moving the ball. We need a, Florent, decent, not incredible ball user, but that I suppose that's his best attribute, I suppose. He's not massively fast, is he?
Who?
Florent. Like, what's his best attribute?
Yeah, he's just sort of a...
I feel like I've seen him butcher it a fair
I think
few
his
times.
problem is he doesn't really have anything that massively hurts you.
A little vanilla.
He's a bit vanilla. He's sort of a tidy outside player.
Similar to Chesser, I suppose.
Chess would be a lot faster.
Chesser would be definitely be quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, my perception of Florent a couple of years ago was that he was a pretty tidy ball user, albeit like he's not that top end. He was a high draft pick, if I remember back. He's a
first rounder.
10 to 15.
10 to 12 or something like that, I reckon. Was he like right before Simkin?
Yeah, he would have been.
I think he was the pick before Simkin.
He would have been, because I remember that at the time. I think a lot of North fans actually liked Ollie Florent. He's sort of versatile and tidy, but just doesn't have any major X factor that's going to hurt you. I think as far as
you're right,
the ready-made players that they've bought in, I think Hayward's a nice piece. I think Ainsworth is a decent piece. I think overall, though, it's going to be pretty stinky for Carlton for the next couple of years. Like, they're not going to be... I'd be surprised if they made finals or anything like that. The silver lining is you've got all these young players, so they can sort of rebuild again pretty cheaply after going all in. So they get to potentially slingshot in a couple of years. And some of the things I criticise them for, like I thought they should have been more aggressive last year, picking up a more dynamic player with their first pick. I think that is kind of vindicated now back in their favour because they are kind of doing this rebuild. They're not going down with this same list with Curnow and Walsh and Cripps and these players. So they can have another busy trade period next year and pretty much start from scratch.
Be interesting to see who's on the chopping block in 12 months' time for the Carlton Footy Club.
Have a guess.
I think that's... I don't think they'd ever, like, even if it's a horrible year, I don't think they'd trade Walsh unless there's a merit-like situation there. No, I think Walsh is still in their plans.
Chera?
Yeah, potentially Chera.
I don't think they'd get rid of Chera.
You wouldn't get much for him.
No.
You get a second rounder at max.
Oh, well, I mean...
I love that he's our whipping boy.
I was going to say, like, well, the obvious one that comes to mind is Mackay, but you think now he's safe.
He's safe.
With a lack of any other key forward coming through that I'm aware of at Carlton.
Yeah, it was actually a position for them over the last couple of years, like looking at drafts and stuff. It was a position of weakness, albeit they had Curnow and Mackay.
Yeah.
But they didn't have really any depth around that. Lewis Young is there.
I think he's playing pretty much back these days now, yeah.
Has played forward though. And the other one would have been Silvani.
Yeah.
Who was a bit of a swingman.
We know there's some older players who could conceivably be gone next year, like McGovern. And then there's...
How old's Haynes?
Older. Yeah, 33.
Yeah.
I think he's 33. He's 92. Yep. I think he's an inaugural giant. So, yeah, Haynes, you'd imagine, gone. And then some older types like Sard and Williams, like I don't really know what to predict right now, but they're on the wrong side of 30. Cripps, you'd imagine, is not gone in a year. But, Elijah Hollands, I'm guessing, Birdman asks, I think Carlton are looking at ways of delisting him. So I think that my impression was that West Coast, amongst others, sniffed around. I can't remember who else, but I know the West Coast were.
Pardon the pun.
That is distasteful. We'll pretend that was a West Coast joke. But I think evidently they decided no, thank you, because Carlton were talking about delisting him. So I think he's gone ski.
Yeah, right. That's a bit of a sad story.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Good player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we go through to round out every deal that happened today on deadline day?
Take us through it. Yeah.
So the first deal to go through was Ollie Florent joining the Carlton Football Club and the Sydney Swans receiving a 2026 third round pick, which we've just discussed. One that sort of came out of nowhere was Chankuth Jiath joining Melbourne for a second round pick, which is currently pick 42.
You're obsessed with that pick. You just keep bringing it up.
And the 2026 fourth round pick. How do we like this deal, just in isolation?
I think Melbourne have not really tended to draft deep in drafts. So I think 42 there's a chance they weren't going to use that anyway. So to replace Judd McVie, it's a free swing. I think it's worth giving him a shot.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Who was the key forward they drafted last year and then they tapped out?
Not Jeff. What, Melbourne?
Yeah, but he was from the VFL, from Werribee. Aidan Johnson.
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. They went for him and then sort of tapped out. So you're
Has
right.
Is he delisted? Or is he?
No, I think he's
still on the list.
No, he's still there. Yeah, he did okay.
Yeah, a bit of a basher.
Yeah. But it was sort of seemingly an interesting move in a pretty strong draft that they didn't just have a swing at a younger guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Sarong of the Jai variety joins Sydney. He'll slot in as that second or third tall defender. So Jai Sarong and the 2026 fourth go to Sydney, and Hawthorn receive a third in next year's draft.
Yeah, a nice little money ball selection there for the Swans, and he'll get more opportunity given their depth.
You couldn't be at a worse club as a medium to tall defender being at Hawthorn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and couldn't be at a better club, as Jai Sarong thought, joining the Swans. Good culture, good acquisitions this trade period.
Could be a premiership player in 12 months.
Good. I don't think Dean Cox will take him to a flag within his second year.
I reckon this is going to be a cool narrative because he's going to have to do something now.
He has made massive moves.
Yeah. The expectation is going to be big. So that's going to be a story of 2026.
Even just on that, first stream we ever did of the season was just riffing into Dean Cox, trying to reinvent the wheel at Sydney. He has shipped out Hayward, Florent, and a plethora of first-round picks for Charlie Curnow.
Yeah.
These are big deals, man.
I don't think it's conclusive that Dean Cox is a shit coach.
I'm not saying that.
I think there's no doubt that after that grand final embarrassing loss that they had, he really wanted to stamp his authority on this team, and I think he went a bit far. He didn't understand the ramifications for some of the things that he did. I think that's pretty clear, and it crept into the following season.
Thoughts, Jesse?
Well, this was his first season, no?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
sorry, I probably didn't word that particular. It crept into like the things that he did back after the grand final.
Yeah, okay.
Such as the
2K
double 2Kers,
yeah.
and he locked them in I'm probably going too far saying he locked them in a room, but there was some like video analysis that they did
Of the
that went
grand
for like,
final, it was a
apparently
whole
it went
day,
for
yeah.
hours, and it was like second by second where they would spend long periods of time on small bits of play and what they did wrong, and it was just a bit suffocating for the players.
Got Don Park at Adelaide Crows vibes.
It
doesn't
does.
Yeah.
And I think their beginning of the season, what I meant by it crept into the next season from that pre-season.
Yeah.
I would say that Sydney are still a bit of an unknown quantity under Cox because they were gross. They were decimated by injury this year, and that was evident in round one. So I think they're a flag chance next year.
Flag chance is crazy talk.
They're
but-
definitely a top 4 chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. What else did we get? There was a pick swap. I can't be bothered reading out a bunch of numbers. Big shock today as North sent Finbar Malley and a 4th-round pick to the Crows.
This sent shockwaves.
And North received a 3rd-round pick, which is currently pick 57, a 2026 4th-round pick. And that was it. How cut are you about this, Dylan? Finbar Malley, I did not know he existed before today.
Didn't you?
Nope.
Yeah,
He
seen him play a
played.
bunch
I
of
want to
times.
actually bring up how many games he attended in 2025.
Attended as a player or a fan?
I'm just,
Did he play against Essendon and wasn't that controversial, like took too long to have a shot?
Oh, that was him.
That was
it?
Maley,
Yes.
Yeah, they call him the postman,
Why is that?
Maley.
Wow. True Footy Live.
Got it. 7 games.
Don't get this on 7 Sport.
7 games is a decent effort. 22-year-old, a young
Yeah.
player, very athletic, and has shown potential. Like he's one of those guys that runs and jumps at the ball fearlessly, and we don't have many of those at North. So he was fun to watch because he would always compete. Like he was a little bit untidy at times, but more than you get from other tools, like more than we got from Jack Darling.
Yeah.
At the other end, more than we get from someone like a Griffin Logue. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit sad about that.
Yeah, it just seems like they kind of looked after him here because it's just such a rogue thing to get to Adelaide. I don't know.
It's so strange.
Weird one. Especially given the key forward stocks that they
Yeah,
have there.
yeah. Unless I'm sort of missing something and they want to repurpose him or...
Yeah, ruck forward is possibly on the cards.
Yeah.
Can he play rock?
I don't know if he's done much of that, but I think at his height it's possible.
He's 197.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's quite tall. I thought he was maybe a little bit smaller and just athletic, but
Yeah, okay.
yeah, he's a big guy.
Maybe that was because the rock rules have changed, right? You now have to run and jump. And if he's someone that flies at things fearlessly.
Yeah.
Well, both work.
Riley
Maybe-
O'Brien was shocking this final series.
Maybe that's
so
why the
maybe
Crows are going, we'll get him as a genuine second ruck. But then they've kind of got Thilthorpe, right? But
Maybe they put Thilthorpe in the ruck more.
maybe they put Thilthorpe in the ruck. That seems weird, though, to pull him
That
away
does
from
seem weird, yeah.
goals.
But wasn't he one of the most effective rucks
Yeah, he
in the back end
was.
of the year?
But he's
Yeah.
also one of the most effective forwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you don't generally do that with such a prolific forward.
Yeah.
You just keep him
a
forward.
blue chip.
Yeah.
They like Hawthorn used to put Roughhead in the ruck, right? Not Franklin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. God, what a luxury that is. Yeah, we're just going to sacrifice Jared Roughhead because he's not as good as our other one.
Jamara Ugle-Hagan, speaking of key forwards, has joined the Gold Coast Suns on a 1-year contract with an option for a second year.
Overpay.
Hey?
Overpay.
Overpay. What
Pick 74.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it was in the end.
That's what
Yeah.
the Dogs got
No,
in return.
I'm being sarcastic.
Obviously, a lot is made of Jamara Ugle-Hagan, but all the talent is there. If the application is also there, the Gold Coast Suns have an absolute steal there.
It's worth noting that the Gold Coast Suns are paying 100% of his contract, which I believe they said was at about 250 grand. I don't know how that happens because I thought he was on more money than
I
that.
thought they
but that
were
was
going to
reported.
rewrite his contract.
250
Well,
a year.
that may be what the outcome is. Yeah, because wasn't he on like 900 or something before? He was on a much bigger deal than that. So I think that there's been newer terms agreed. I know that the Bulldogs, it was reported they're not paying a single cent of it.
Okay.
So you think they'd actually be fairly happy with our outcome.
2024, he kicked 43 goals at an average of 2 goals a game in what I would call a supercharged forward line or offense in the Western Bulldogs. So I don't know. Like,
what about 22 and 23?
That's a good question. Let's have a bit of a look at that.
I reckon he's been the best on ground in a few games that I've watched tomorrow, or at least the most impactful.
35.
Yeah,
43 is his best.
Yeah, 43 is his best.
And then 22?
I just think it's a lot. Like, I do get what you're saying. Like, all of the talent's there. He's a previous number 1 draft pick, so that has to carry some weight. And he clearly does have talent, like you're saying, but it's a lot just to say that he's going to go up there and repurpose that into being like an unbelievable footballer.
Repurpose.
Oh, well, just from what he's been going through. To go up there and...
He's just doing a bit of FIFO, isn't he, really? He's like, I'm just going to fly up there. That is where I'd go to work. Like, just head down,
I think that the mental side of the game there is like
it's the Jesse Hogan model. The GWS Jesse Hogan model.
True. Probably, different circumstances, I'm going to guess. But
we still don't know, do we? Like, we don't really know what's going on or went on.
No, nothing's come out about it.
It is alarming that the Dogs are just so happy to see the back of him.
Yeah.
We don't know if that's just because the relationship is soured or because they're looking at certain things in his life and saying, no, thank you. We don't know the answer to that.
I found the way that it was reported on earlier in the year, particularly like really interesting. The fact that nobody wanted to go into details made me think that something like had to have happened.
Yeah.
And it was very serious, like an event or something that kind of like drove them apart. And why wouldn't they report on it?
I can't wait for that to come out. I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of another thing that's happened in the AFL that is deliberately not reported on. And we're just trying to find the parallels, but Taron Thomas's business was reported on. Clayton Oliver's business has been alluded to, but everyone kind of knows about it. The Hugo Hagen's is unique.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Anyway, enough about Crime Stoppers.
Yeah.
Back on to trades. The Pies grab Swans forward. Jack Buller and a 2026 4th round pick go to Collingwood. And the Sydney Swans receive a 2026 3rd round pick. Very busy trade period for the Swans. Not so much for Collingwood, but they land a key forward prospect.
Jack Buller, I've seen a tiny bit of him look promising. I think Sydney were quite disappointed and flat that he requested a trade to Collingwood, although with Charlie Curnow in, I don't think they give a flying shit right now.
Well said, Jesse. Well said.
Tigers grab Young Cat, also known as a pussycat.
I have never heard of this bloke before, and I actually do feel like I've heard most names in the AFL, if not all. But Patrick Retschko, I would have assumed was a player agent.
Retschko.
No, he's he played Vic Metro in that unbelievable side last year with Smiley and Ashcroft and Reed and these guys. So he's a top player. Oakley Chargers. He pretty much occupied a wing in both teams because he's an unbelievable runner. He just gets up and back. But I don't know. I guess it's one of those ones where if Geelong saw a lot in him, they're usually pretty good at that, aren't they? Being able to hang on to someone, play him in the VFL, get them up to the standard. So there's like a reason that they've let him go.
Yeah.
His disposal's not great. He's a bit of a bomber, but he just turns up and turns up and turns up. Like he never stops running.
Makes it to each contest type player.
Yeah. He actually he had a thing last year that was reported on before every talent league game or every game of football that he played. He ran 5K before the game.
Every game.
Yeah.
What a freak.
Which is it was almost like a nervous energy thing.
Okay. I run 5K and it puts me to bed.
He won the...
I drive 5K and it puts me to bed.
He won the 2K time trial at the state combine. He wasn't at the national combine.
Truly.
The state combine, yeah.
I just want to point out, Griffin Health says he got delisted but traded a bit odd. Yeah, that is a strange one. I don't know. There must be some reason that happened. There was also a few other questionable ones like Will Brodie being traded for a pick over 100. Like, why would you just not delist and sign as a delisted free agent? Same thing with... who was the other one? There was a second one today. The pick 99.
Jamara?
Yeah,
oh, no,
yeah.
that was the one I'm talking about. Sorry. Jamara, I suppose you could say, is in the same boat. Like,
So what is that?
What is the logistical difference between delisted free agent trading? They'd already delisted this player. Why did they trade him? Is it just a time frame thing? So the player has clarity before the delisted free agency period starts? Like, maybe.
Maybe someone in the comments knows
Yeah.
why that takes place. But
It's probably some technical reason.
because it got announced last week that Geelong delisted Xavier Ivasic.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of him.
Yeah. And Pat Rechko, both of them. And they were just drafted in 24, so they only lasted a year.
Yeah.
From Pat Rechko to Christian Petrarca. Gold Coast receive Christian Petrarca, 2 second-round picks, currently number 24 and number 28, and a 2026 second, so 3 seconds and Petrarca. The D's receive 2 first-round picks, currently 7 and 8, a second-round pick, currently 37, a 2026 first, and a 2027 third-round pick. The Sun land probably the biggest star post-Gaza ever. Petrarca's the Sun.
Bondum.
Did you just say Petrarca's the biggest star?
At the Gold Coast Suns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, what? No. Yes, I'm with
My
you.
brain.
Yeah, no, definitely the highest profile player to play since Gary Ablett Jr. for the Gold Coast Suns. So, yeah, from a PR point of view, that helps. I don't know if they really needed too much PR with the way that they finished the season and took out Goal of the Year, Mark of the Year. Did Mark of the Year? No, that was Darcy. Sorry. Goal of the Year and the Brownlow, I should have said.
Yeah.
Oh, was that dirty
And they-
Noah Anderson goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. What else? I feel like there was something else that they had. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Maybe it was Queensland also. They won the flag and then... No, because it was Darcy that won Mark of the Year. I'm clutching at
end this,
straws.
Jesse.
I'm clutching
End
at
this.
straws.
How
No,
well do
wait.
you think?
No, I got it.
How well do you think Petrarca will go for the Suns next year, Jesse?
Oh, I think he'll probably kill it, to be honest. I'd imagine there's a good chance he plays more forward than mid, given the depth and don't fix what's not broke kind of element of the Gold Coast midfield there. So I think he'll come in as just a general, like, fluttering, high-marking, goal-kicking player.
Can you remember that game against Carlton when they were like 45 points down or whatever and Petrarca kicked 6?
Vaguely, yeah, I
this
do remember
year?
that.
Last year.
Nah,
I think
yeah.
it was 2024.
Yeah.
I reckon he kicked 6 and then they had a chance to win it right at the end. And yeah, I can't remember exactly what happened.
They had a
But
couple of close games last year. Didn't they? Didn't Carlton knock them out of a final?
that was 23.
23.
Yeah.
But this year they had a bunch of close games that they should have won. GWS earlier in the season was one off the top of my head. I think they lost close to Collingwood twice. Anyway, that's not the point.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The point was Petrarca can be a genuine force in the forward line. And I can't, they got Ben Long in that similar sort of size range, I suppose, when you go key versus non-key. Ainsworth leaves, so he could make some damage, given that their midfield is already so complete.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at his 2025 season as well. Like, I think we forget pretty fast because he was playing to such a high level and then he wanted to leave and all of that sort of stuff and he just dropped off slightly. But he's gone from like a 15 player rating the year before to a 13, which is still so above average. It's not funny.
Yeah.
Like 25 touches, kicked 18 goals for the year.
Yeah.
So in a... like you said, he'll probably play that more predominant forward role and he'll just pinch hit in the midfield for impact.
Mm-hmm.
They can kind of take that responsibility off Bailey Humphrey, just let him shark inside forward 50.
Yeah.
He'll have, in a more supercharged offense like Gold Coast, he'll have a great season.
It's actually crazy the difference in talent across some teams in this league.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Gold Coast first.
No.
Well, that's the thing. The trade period happens every year and it's essentially the top 8 sides trying to get better
Yeah.
and the bottom 10 sides trying to rebuild.
The rich get richer.
Roughly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gold Coast get Christian Petrarca, Jamari Ugle-Hay, Ezekiel, and Dylan Patterson.
It's absurd.
Is there anyone I'm missing there?
And we trade our future first for Matt Whitlock. No offense to Matt. But you know what I mean? Like last year, like we're not even in this draft, basically.
Yeah, true.
People were criticising you in the comments for that, saying like it wasn't for Matt Whitlock. Or was it maybe Caleb Daniel? I've seen a few comments talking about
No,
like...
no.
we didn't get
I use the Caleb Daniel, Matt Whitlock thing. It's not an exact... It's just...
Had you not done the Caleb Daniel deal, you would never have traded the future first. You would have just taken Matt Whitlock. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's almost like more of an optics thing than an actual swap for swap. Caleb Daniel, we traded pick 25 for, and then on draft night, we traded our future first for a similar pick. So we had pick 25, traded it for Daniel, and then we had pick 28 and traded it. Then we traded for pick 28 with Richmond for our future first. You can kind of deduce from that Caleb Daniel is worth the future first, which is now pick.
I think you got Richmond's future second back, but the point does still remain.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it doesn't really make you feel too much.
So the point being that people were like that wasn't the trade, but effectively it was.
Yeah, it's more the value on that pick.
Trev says Matt Whitlock would be a top 10 this year, though. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah,
he'd be in that group with
that's a fair point.
Aiden Schubert. Like potentially, he's a little bit more versatile, can kick the footy better than some of those guys. But around 10 to 15, I'd say.
Surprising trade again. Melbourne coming out of nowhere. Jack Steele and CJ today. Only giving up a future 2027 third for Jack Steele, who a few years ago was one of the toughest inside midfielders in the competition. How do you guys feel about this trade?
I think when St Kilda tells them it's okay to look around, they cannot possibly ask for much more than that in a trade. I think this kind of makes sense with the experience Melbourne are losing in their midfield. I don't think that is a midfield of Jack Viney and Jack Steele lining up as centre bounces together with Harvey Langford, maybe the third one. Is that quick enough to really compete with too many teams this year or next year rather? Probably not, but it is a big body to protect the guys developing. So it kind of makes sense. I think we saw it reported a little bit earlier in the day. Jack Steele to Melbourne was on, but that kind of was new today as far as I'm aware. So surprising move, and St Kilda free up a little bit of money off the books too.
Dylan, how do you see this Melbourne midfield heading into 2026?
Yeah, I said it off the top. Like, I actually think this is a really good marginal gains play. Just like Oliver goes out, Steele comes in. So you're sort of replacing slight like for like, a little bit of a worse player, but for like much less salary. You're clearing the decks culturally as well. So I think that's a big part of this for Melbourne. It kind of shows that it's not all about youth for them. It's just about reshuffling and sort of changing their list up a little bit. The young players are just so talented at Melbourne. So
yeah. They've done well.
They're getting back-to-back picks.
Yep.
Back-to-back picks this year.
I'm just going to investigate Rogue Riot saying that Blake Hardwick and Nick Watson are throwing a tantrum on Instagram.
About Merritt?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is hot. I'm actually just going to, while we're on that, Melbourne have picks 7 and 8. I'm just trying to
Might be in the comments somewhere.
Speculate again on who they might take. We mentioned Sullivan Roby. He definitely won't be available at that pick.
No.
I mean, Melbourne sort of like looking at what they did last year. They went after Xavier Lindsay. He's a bit of a similar player.
They needed a key defender.
Yeah, they do need a key defender. You could sort of see them going. I mean, if they could get their hands on a Xavier Taylor, they would absolutely love it.
Thread gold.
Oh, thread gold.
Yeah.
Thready.
Where's he going?
It's too high. It's just a bit too high for thread gold, I think.
Didn't you say the other day that Melbourne are a club that always takes bolters?
Yeah,
they do like they
see what they want and they take it.
Yeah, which I like.
It opens up the possibilities of who they could draft. That's for sure. I think they could go double tall.
They could go double tall.
I think that's what they need.
Like Taylor and Schubert or something. Oh, Taylor won't be there.
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca, yeah. Schubela. I'm on tonight. Oh, that's Shakira. Schubert and maybe a thread gold would be a possibility.
I sometimes have a desire to call him Chewbacca and just do the shoey like.
What's the that was actually pretty good. Nice. Sench posted the Blake Hardwick story for you to follow up there, Jesse.
Yeah,
We're getting sidetracked.
So what happened? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Apparently some Hawks players are getting salty that Merritt didn't come.
This is live TV. This is why live TV is good.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Is it on
Essendon? Is this it? Yeah, Blake Hardwick. Oh, he posted the Essendon logo with a caption Alcatraz. And then another photo of Alcatraz. Oh my God.
How can you say that Essendon is Alcatraz when Hawthorn were putting these shitty deals together for Merritt?
Yeah.
Was it a shitty deal?
Yeah, I reckon like pick 10, a future first, and Henry Husway. It's a pretty shit deal.
What could they have done though? That's what we were sort of saying.
Was 22 not also part of it? 10, 22, and a future first.
So what would that have ended up in?
The deal got pretty good in the end.
Yeah, I think so too.
The deal was fairly favourable.
Yeah.
It was more like Essendon just got stubborn on the fact that they didn't want to seem to be walked over.
Hawthorn didn't live up to the value. I still think even if the deal went through and even if it was the right move to make for Essendon. I don't think. Got a train going off.
Yeah.
There goes the train to Alcatraz. And I got nothing.
That's making the clip.
I lost my train of thought there, part of the fun. All right. The point I was making was Hawthorn weren't living up to the value that Essendon placed on Zach Merritt, even with their best offer.
So you're essentially saying that they had to have given up a better player, really? Because they didn't have much else they could give.
Yeah. I think Essendon's counter offer was overs. I didn't think Essendon wanted to accept unders, even if it was for the better of their culture, which we discussed earlier. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, Liam P says Merritt was worth pick 5, future first, and Cam McKenzie. Where was pick 5 coming from in that situation? That's confusing.
Richmond, do they have pick 5?
No, Essendon have pick 5.
I was sort of convinced that a Cam McKenzie level player had to come the other way.
Yeah.
And that would have been the tipping point for me. I think that would have made, if Essendon could have got their hands on McKenzie, I think that would have tipped it over the edge. Rogie says, imagine being Huswaite and seeing the Hardwick stuff. Kind of true.
Facts.
Yeah.
We got 530 in the chat. Thank you, guys. Chuck a like on the stream if you don't mind. We'd really appreciate it.
And help us hit 35,000 subscribers. We're about 70 short. So
who's next on that list, Druzy?
Yeah, let's get moving.
Next on the list, we have Clayton Oliver, who becomes a Giant. He goes to the Orange team. He's an Orange man. This could be one of the biggest steals of the trade period. A 2026 third-round pick. I think this is just going to be a reset. Hard reset for Clary. He's going to go up there and could get back to his best footy in a side that has shown with Jesse Hogan that come up here, we'll wrap our arms around you and we'll make you a better footballer. I think this is a good move. Say what you want about whether he's a similar type to Tom Green, but this could be a massive steal. Or he could go to shit.
Low risk, high reward for the Giants. And I don't know where it's at with the money, but I think it's a good outcome for Melbourne to get him off the books culturally. And the Giants have a free swing at a good player, knowing they already have a pretty strong culture from the outside looking in.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. When you consider the players that they've lost, such as Peatling and they've had a retirement in there. Cal Ward's retired. There's somebody else that's Perryman was the other one that was sort of midfield depth in a way. So it's midfield depth. I'm probably not as optimistic that this is going to work that well for them though, as far as like making a big difference, moving any needles. Less convinced by that, but it's a low risk move. I agree with that.
Matt says Oliver is a jet. Watch him go bang with an elite midfield. I'm going to back him in. My man, Clary. And then the final trade on deadline day was the big one. Swans pay up to land Charlie Curnow. The Swans receive Charlie Curnow, 2 second-round picks in this year's draft and a 2027 second. Carlton receive a war chest of picks. And Will Hayward. So Will Hayward, a first-round pick, which is currently at 11, 2026 first, and a 2027 first. So effectively, Swans' next 3 first-rounders and Will Hayward for Charlie Curnow and some second-round picks. Wow.
Curiously, the Florent deal was done separately. I think we said earlier, possibly because they wanted to give Florent that peace of mind. Yes, we'll get this deal done. And then both sides had the opportunity to pull out of the broader deal of Charlie Curnow. But I think 3 first-round picks and Will Hayward with a second going back and some points going back as well is about as good as you could possibly hoped for. Outside of the big four, Carlton made a big stance at the start saying, give us Goulden, etc. But coming back to earth a little bit, these picks are about as good as they can get. And like I said, Carlton have an opportunity now to move 9 and 11 up and then still get Harry Dean. So this is 2 top 10 picks potentially for Carlton if they play their cards right, as well as Jack Ison. And then they strengthen their hand next year with Cody Walker. They probably don't really need to stress about what that looks like next year to have 2 first-rounders. And then Sydney's first rounder the following year as well. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just that like old adage that every player has a price ultimately.
Yeah.
And you have to, if the deal's too good to be true, you sort of have to take it. Just interestingly in this trade, I guess it's not that bad for Sydney either, which is a boring answer to this trade. I think everybody wants that winner and loser, but it's sort of evenly placed, I feel, and they both kind of win.
Yeah, the risk assessment is fair because this first rounder that they've given up is already tied to Max King, then that's not going to be a problem. So it's 2 firsts in years where they're probably going to be competitive, and then Tasmania is present in one of them. So from their point of view, I think they've just strengthened pretty well. Structurally, a little bit more sound. Obviously, we know they got Sarong and Roses Jr. as well. And Carlton, yes, they lose Charlie Curnow. I don't think anyone really in the football world expects Carlton to win a flag in the next 3 years. At least no one that doesn't support Carlton thinks that, to be honest. So they kind of concede defeat a little bit to some extent, and they get an established player, so they're not going to fall apart. I don't think losing Curnow exposes them like Essendon losing Merritt would.
I think that's almost the only thing, like the shock factor to the fans. Just metaphorically, this was a poor season for them, which gave them a shock. And now the club is essentially, with these outgoings, they're essentially admitting that like we're done.
Yeah,
and
or like broad changes really needed.
Yeah, TDK, Curnow, like everything, and the even the behind the scenes stuff is changing as well. So it's kind of it's just a big metaphorical change, I suppose.
Yeah, I almost forgot about TDK.
Yeah,
like,
I was literally just thinking,
yeah.
like TDK was done so early. Silvani done early. So they've lost Curnow,
Silvani as well.
TDK and Silvani from that list at Carlton.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So holding on to Curnow, I think, probably wouldn't have made a lot of sense. But they did the right thing by holding out and getting the best deal they could. And they did get the best deal. I think that was possible.
That's the trade period wrap. Jesse spit some bars. Trade period wrap.
Is that it?
Did it
What?
rhyme? That was all the trades
That
today.
was
Trade
all
period's
of
right.
the trades.
Yeah.
One that you did forget about, Druzy, that was done in the days prior was Will Brodie
Oh, yeah.
Yes, let's unpack this.
for pick 103.
Does pick 103 actually exist?
You can use that on Fred Rodriguez. Wow, I fucked that up.
On Fred Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
he's gonna
actually,
be the next Hugh McCluggage, bro.
I don't know. Like, I had some free time today, and I actually had a look at the last time Will Brodie played football. It was 2023 when he actually pulled on a Fremantle jumper.
Yeah.
Played
Wow.
5 games that season.
Wow. Has it been that long?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
But he only played 5 games that season. It wasn't even a big one.
How did he last so long on the list?
I
Sorry.
don't know.
Continue.
The 22 season was the last time that he played consistently. That was when he
He
had
was
that.
elite that year.
That would have been the year that he came over from the
Yeah,
Gold
I
Coast.
think
Like
it might.
that.
Yeah, I think he came over end of 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2022 would have been the first season.
But he was so good for us that year, man.
He played 24 games. Like, this is actually incredible when I looked at the numbers. 24 games at 69% time on ground, because he always played as that like fourth mid. He was like he was just like the rotation player. So his time on ground was always super, super low. But he had a 13 player rating. I just mentioned Petrarca had that this year. Like, that was kind of the level. Number 2 at Freo for that season. And he was a top 50 AFL player based on that rating.
He was good. We were shocked to never see him again after that year.
Yeah, what happened?
The rumor was off season of 22 had some personal, I don't know if it was like loss in his life. Something like that came out.
Mid-season
And then,
or?
after the 22,
Okay.
between 22 and 23. And then the narrative was that JL didn't like his running ability or his disposal by foot. But we were such a good clearance side with him in that team. We called him the human shovel. He was just head down, over it, flick it to the outside. And yeah, it was like a genuine like push on every Freo team announcement, like, where's Will Brodie? Where's Will Brodie? And he didn't play. So yeah, it's unknown what type of player he's going to be at Port Adelaide, but if he can recapture that 2022 form, which is going to be 4 years ago by the time next season starts, they've got a good player on their hands.
Yeah.
Just got a comment from Wooden Spoon Data. Have you done who wins and loses the draft yet? No, we'll probably do that late
Trade
November.
period. Oh, the draft.
Yeah, we'll probably do that late November after the actual draft.
We're going
I'm
to
just being
do a
smart.
stream on Saturday as well, sort of unpacking.
I assume he means trade period.
Yeah.
I was being a smart ass.
Oh, okay.
But we haven't. No, we're going to go club by club, I reckon, on the weekend.
Yeah.
But today was a bit more of a...
Metros, Revs.
Yeah.
The lucky
How to
cock.
drink.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant trade. How to drink. Fair.
Had a drink.
Couple of Pinot Noirs.
That's it then. That is the trade period.
Yeah.
Thank fuck that's over.
Oh, I know.
What are some of the, like, I think there's been a few, like, really surprising deadline deal trades. Today's probably was Finbar Maley, just that nobody knew about it. James Aish to Fremantle a few years ago was a big surprise. And, I forgot his name. The pick 11 from the Giants got traded to North Melbourne in, like, 2019, and I'm blanking on his name. He had dreadlocks.
Boner.
Yes, Aiden Bonar.
How'd you know?
It's probably Bonner.
Yeah, it's definitely Bonner.
Bonar. No,
Aiden
it's Bonar.
Bonar.
But it was a single N, so I think it was Bonar.
Yeah.
You can't like finesse that into it's French, it's banana. Like, come on, mate.
Yeah. He was a top draft pick.
Yeah, he was pick 11th. I want to say a top 10 pick in 2016.
Yeah, I think he was a bit of a speculative.
But that one was a really random one late in the piece as well.
Yes. But North Melbourne had a history of going after players like failed top draft picks and paying overs for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dylan Stevens, come to our football club. He actually had a
Steven
solid-ish
Silvani.
year. I thought Dylan Stevens, but anyway.
Oh, yeah, he was solid. He was above
Pronounced the same way as
expectation.
Riley Bonner.
I thought he was a little gaseous. Is that just something we all agree to do? Because there's only one N.
Yeah. My last name's Cox, but I don't try to finesse it. It just is what it is, you know.
Cokes.
One other thing just came
Like
to my
the drinks.
mind. One other thing just came to my mind, guys. Are you surprised that nobody else really went in for Lika Leah?
Well, he re-signed for 2 years. Yeah.
But it was kind of because there was no interest.
Yeah.
Well, I think North had a little dabble. I think there was some vague Collingwood connection. I don't know how serious those things got. I do wonder how much his asking price was. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think St Kilda had to be the only club willing to pay $800,000.
That was the independent variable of that one. Throwing it back to year 10 science. It was just the money. That was why he was so enticed to go to the Saints. And then I don't think any other club was going to offer any different to GWS. So he's happy to stay on the fringes at GWS. People have been saying in the chat, you forgot Archie to West Coast.
Brendan Archie?
Oh,
Is that? Are you talking about-
I think there was a little bit of chat earlier about can they take Cal Archie to the rookie draft and take him.
Yeah. So what did we forget? Because we did have Brendan Archie that got traded to West Coast. I don't know if that was. I don't think that was a.
Can we
deadline
make
day
anything
one.
of this Callum Archie trade through the rookie draft, or is that not going to?
So it'd be pre-season, to be specific, pre-season draft. I think it's very unlikely. I think West Coast should ask the question, but if Archie's like, nah, stuff is, then I don't think bother. But definitely, like, surely there's a chance you talk him into it because he's a free, like, literally be for free.
Mitchell Woodcock just reported.
Sorry.
West Coast list boss Matt Clark says it's unlikely that the Eagles will make a play for Cal Archie after his trade to Adelaide fell through.
Yeah, you just sour some relations there, I think. Not between West Coast and Brisbane, probably West Coast and Adelaide. And also you got to, they probably will tend to respect the players' wishes, even though the entire reason this preseason draft exists is for this reason.
I feel like I've just logged into Twitter here as you guys are having a conversation and there's like toxicity coming through the screen at me.
Yeah.
Like
That's Twitter.
Turn down your brightness.
Yeah, but it's like it's also that it's not just Twitter. It's the end of the trade period.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of venting going on.
Yeah.
I just saw Collingwood fans posting like clips of Simpkin like screwing things up.
What is like butchering the ball?
Yeah,
and
butchering
shit.
the ball, like getting caught
We
holding
didn't
the
want
ball.
him anyway.
I don't go on Twitter at all.
Yeah, neither.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's all pro-merit praise, I'm sure.
It is. Yeah, there's a lot of merits
From
stuff on
everyone.
there.
Essendon fans hate him. Hawthorn fans don't want him anymore.
It's burning my hands.
Yeah.
Thomas Addo says, over the last few years, the Eagles love to not sour any relationships. You've talked about that a lot,
Yes.
Jesse, haven't you? Just
Yeah,
kind of
so
them.
Look at us profiting from that.
Exactly. Should we wrap it up, boys?
Let's wrap it.
Yeah, like Christmas.
It's a weeknight. We've got to get to bed. We will be back on Saturday morning for another episode
Yep.
to wrap up the trade period, and we'll probably start pivoting pretty heavily into the draft, I imagine.
Yeah.
At that
definitely.
point. But thanks for jumping on. I think we had at least 520 people on at one stage tonight, and the concurrent viewers and stuff have been excellent of late. So thanks for doing footy with us, guys, and we will see you on Saturday.
Go Freo. See you Saturday.
Thanks, guys.